expected him to take it this far. He announced excitedly, "The winner is Pei Daoqian." The Korean player Pei Daoqian had claimed the championship. Fireworks erupted, and he stood amidst the cheering crowd. He thought, after a beating like that, he won't dare act tough next time. Pei Daoqian's overwhelming victory in the finals. After the finals, the admission list and first-tier academy rosters were announced, around 600 players in total. Over 60 non-combatants had secured spots as first-term students. All participants will enjoy 5-star hotel-level accommodations and meals for 3 months, with fresh new clothes provided daily. Additionally, the 16 special contestants selected through duels will receive higher-grade enlightenment stones. These individuals will not only have upgraded living conditions but also receive equipment tailored to their unique traits. Furthermore, they will be granted passes allowing free entry and exit from the starting city during training, as well as access to the capital, Tulium. In other words, new players will no longer be restricted to the Free Cities area. Meanwhile, Kanakot Corporation, known for live streaming this competition multiple times, has invested in personal live stream systems for the contestants. With support from multiple platforms, Kanakot's contestants have officially begun their live stream activities. Despite Pei Daoqian's channel claiming no live streams, it still boasts the highest number of followers. Footage of Pei Daoqian's activities throughout the competition quickly garnered hundreds of millions of views after being posted. After sparking explosive reactions, the videos were edited and produced by Lavelle. Ultimately, a special reward was granted to the Chinese winner, Pei Daoqian. Regardless of whether he completes the Academy's courses, he will immediately gain membership in the One-Party Assembly and be able to take on missions from them. Daoqian mused to himself in the game. Of course, this was just the official announcement. In reality, it was merely an excuse to allow him to act independently under that pretext. Pei Daoqian only needs to participate in some practical training in the graduation exam, without attending regular classes. Right now, there are more important matters to address elsewhere. Bernard reported that the meeting had concluded. He replied, "Good. Then is the tree still here?" The other bowed respectfully. "Yes, everyone is still making use of it." Daoqian left, asking, "Which meeting room should I go to?" It was time to return to his own affairs. At the meeting, the tree spoke, "We've detected unusual signs in 3 of our territories. According to witness testimonies, several unidentified knights repelled monsters and secured the safety of various roads." Daoqian pondered. After the portal crisis, the duchy had just recovered and held its ground. Could this be a scheme by another family to seize the territory? He asked, "Can we confirm which family these knights belong to?" The report stated that their armor and weapons bore no identifying emblems whatsoever. "When they spotted our scouts, they fled immediately." Daoqian found this suspicious. Knightly orders have always taken pride in their lineage and families. So why would they hide their emblems? The tree affirmed, "A single duchy cannot mobilize so many knights. There must be someone pulling the strings behind this or an inside collaborator." You asked if any noble or faction's actions seem suspicious? He revealed that so far, Duke Tanbaton and Marquis Jia have remained silent. They are families that typically avoid political movements. Marquis Monair was the first to stabilize the situation. Reports indicate the Marquis took action personally or was prepared in advance. Daoqian took note of the name, Marquis Monair. He analyzed silently. From Aston's perspective, Randall is a thorn in their side. But from the kingdom's standpoint, the most dangerous family is the Mainers. The problem is, they have betrayed us before. After the Empire invaded, the kingdom rose in resistance under the Tanbaton family's leadership. But Marquis Monair refused to ally and sided with the Empire. Fortunately, due to an inside informant, we weren't stabbed in the back. However, the disparity in military strength was unavoidable. The question is why they allied with the Empire. If we haven't engaged with them yet, perhaps we can turn the tide. Otherwise, we'll have to eliminate them. Kai concluded that the primary suspects here are Marquis Monair and Earl Landon. And that Viscount mentioned earlier is also highly suspicious. He suddenly remembered. Right, what has he been up to lately? Kai recalled that he had just returned to the capital. He's been conspiring with allies and relatives, possibly about the territory incident. Daoqian tapped his fingers lightly on the table, lost in thought. Based on the current information, the knightly order near the territory likely belongs to one of these families. Are they trying to challenge us? Do they think everything will go according to their plan? He instructed Philip to put the knightly order on high alert. If an emergency arises, prepare the teleportation gate immediately. Understood, my lord. Daoqian assigned the task to Jack, the management and control of the teleportation gate previously handled by the knights. From now on, it will be handled by the association's direct forces. Understood, my lord. Daoqian reminded them, as they've already sensed, hostile forces have begun to act. They must think we're easy prey. He wanted to teach them a lesson. Let them see the price of daring to provoke us without knowing their place. Bernard, the last one, was called over. Yes, my lord. Dao Xian instructed, I will be staying in the capital for some time. If anything happens at home while I'm unreachable, follow my previous orders. He nodded in understanding, meaning, in such a case, take Miss Nakia to the main residence, right? Understood. Dao Xian added cautiously, furthermore, do not obey any orders or I will not accept the main family's alliance request unless it's young Master Dylan's command. He mused to himself that he hadn't yet identified who in the main family was colluding with the Empire, so he had to prepare for the worst. Their plans likely won't change much, their target remains the first family head. The family head's authority is absolute. If he, as the family leader, loses power, the entire family will descend into chaos. With the threat from the main family still unresolved, the plan cannot proceed, but perhaps this is the perfect opportunity. From now on, I will root out the parasites lurking in the main family once and for all. At the Tulium branch of the first-class assembly, Division Head Arius welcomed Daoshuan. He greeted him, Lord Arius, how have you been lately? The other smiled in response, thank you for asking, I'm well. Arius had once been a squire in the Golden Bear Knight Order. He was one of the first 6 squires to follow Daoshuan. Now, he had become an arena specialist and held a high position in the assembly. He calculated silently that the Tulium branch currently had 500 new assembly recruits and over 20 knights. By royal decree, they managed several dungeons around the capital and took on missions from both nobles and commoners. Arius led Daoshuan into a room and opened the door. The 3 inside stood to greet him, long time no see, brother Daoshuan. Daoshuan looked around, these knights were all his academy classmates from the same era. They had applied to join the first-class knight assembly alongside Danzan. As rising stars of the Este class, with the assembly's support, they had made great progress, all top-tier swordsmen, soon to reach mid-level mastery. Daoshuan requested, I heard you discovered an entrance to an ancient dungeon. Could you elaborate? Ken stepped forward and said, sure, I'll explain. A wandering adventurer found it. Fortunately, it was near a dungeon managed by the first-class assembly, so we can easily secure it. Daoshuan felt relieved, the news was confirmed. We've finally found the ancient dungeon. There are 2 types of dungeons within the barrier, failed gates, which are frozen and merged with our world, and natural dungeons that existed before the gates erupted. Failed gates continuously spawn monsters and can only be destroyed under specific conditions. Natural dungeons, however, hold secrets of the barrier, places like mage laboratories, hidden dungeons, or dragon lairs. These are collectively known as ancient dungeons. Whether failed gates or ordinary dungeons, their entrances appear normal, but inside, they connect to another spatial dimension. But ancient dungeons are part of the barrier itself. Compared to ordinary dungeons, ancient dungeons are far harder to locate. Ken continued, saying that people believe this dungeon is the underground city of Xenake, and its entrance vanished 5 years ago. Dao Xian was curious about the current state of this dungeon. She revealed that the knights and soldiers were guarding the place tightly. Of course, all related information was strictly controlled. Dao Xian knew of this place. Xenake's underground city had been explored by many adventurers and was classified as extremely dangerous. Only a portion of the entrances had been discovered, but countless precious artifacts had already been unearthed. Enough to excite any adventurer. However, the interior of the entrance was a place of no return, having claimed countless lives. This dungeon had become a place of infamy. Years ago, an expedition team from a certain family entered, and the entrance collapsed afterward. And now, after all these years, the dungeon had reappeared in another location. A member raised their hand and asked, do you plan to enter this dungeon? Dao Xian admitted, of course. I intend to clear it before any enemies discover it. I'll take an elite team inside. Arya excitedly asked, may I ask who you'll be taking with you? She was surprised, thinking everyone must be eager to join. Dao Xian began, I'm sorry, but I've already made my decision. He looked at her and asked, well, Ken, do you think you're capable of conquering an ancient dungeon? Ken never expected she would be the lucky one. Stammering in disbelief, she pointed at herself and confirmed, me? Ken replied, of course, I'd love to go. Dao Xian asked for the others' opinions, among all the knights, I'll only take Ken. Does everyone agree? They all congratulated her, though some were disappointed. But if it was Ken, there was nothing to say. Congratulations, Ken. Do your best for all of us. Dao Xian knew her background. Ken was the second strongest in the top 10 recruits of the Night Order, only behind Dan Qing. She was also the only one who had reached the intermediate expert level. Despite her small stature, she was agile and nimble. What truly set her apart was her exceptional control over inner energy. Far more refined than most, compensating for her physical limitations. Moreover, she was the key figure in this dungeon raid. Dao Xian couldn't wait to begin the assault on the dungeon. When only the 2 of them remained, Dao Xian poured her a cup of tea and slid it in front of Ken. He asked, is there anything inconvenient about your life in the Night Order? She denied it, saying, no. With the efficient training system and well-equipped facilities, honestly, I don't think there's a better environment than this. He thought to himself, that's the standard answer of a soldier. Though we graduated from the same Royal Academy, we never had the chance to meet directly. Daoxian advised, if there's anything that needs improvement, feel free to speak up. We're still a newly formed Knight Order, so there are bound to be shortcomings. She agreed. Alright, I understand. Daoxuan cut straight to the point, let's get to the main topic. Do you know why I chose you for this dungeon raid? Ken stammered, I'm not entirely sure. I'm sorry, I don't know. You take a sip of tea, which was within Daoxuan's expectations. He stated bluntly, before we discuss the dungeon, we need to address another matter first. Do you agree? Miss Kylie Zijia. The name shocked Ken. She hadn't expected her identity to be exposed, and her expression darkened as anxiety gripped her. Daoxuan knew of the Gora Marquis family, one of the 5 great martial arts clans of the Ruben Kingdom. Located at the southernmost tip of the kingdom, the family was renowned for its unparalleled spear techniques. As a result, they had produced countless talents and become one of the most prestigious families. However, after losing their patriarch and heir in the Great War against the Empire, the family gradually declined. Moreover, since some secret manuals were only passed down to the family head and were lost, they could no longer train swordsmen. Daoxuan continued, I've heard the family has withdrawn from politics to focus on internal consolidation, hoping to restore their former glory one day. And for a young lady of your noble status, the reason for disguising yourself as a man to enter the academy is obvious. Ken lowered her head. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to deceive you. She trembled as she spoke, I don't know what to say. I truly meant no harm. If you order me to leave the Knight Order, I'll do so immediately. Taking another calm sip of tea, Daoxuan said, Ken, or should I say, it seems Miss Zijia wishes to abandon the path of a knight. She firmly denied it. No. No matter what happens, I will continue to be a knight. Ken's concern was that it wasn't something she could simply choose to do. Most Knight Orders in the Ruben Kingdom do not recognize female knights as members. Daoxuan sighed and asked, then why did you say you'd leave the Knight Order? Did our team disappoint you? She blushed. I'm sorry, no, of course not. She countered, but what you just said, does that mean you'll allow me to stay in the Knight Order? Daoxuan shrugged and said casually, isn't it obvious? Which Knight Order would pass up a young talent who's already reached the intermediate expert level? You mentioned your identity, but I am the daughter of the Gora Marquis family, rivals of the Ashton Earl family. And I'm a girl, you interrupted. That's not a problem at all. Even if issues arise, I'll take full responsibility for accepting you as part of the team. Ken asked in surprise, you mean my gender or background doesn't matter? Daoxuan emphasized, what matters is your will. She slammed the table, startling Daoxuan. She knelt on one knee and declared, I, Ken, Knight of the Gora Marquis family, hereby renew my oath. Pledge loyalty to my lord, Viscount Raoul J. Aston. In return, Du Shisun also stood up from his seat. He solemnly declared, I, Raoul, Master of the First Order of Knights, accept Ken's loyalty and swear to fulfill all duties as his lord. Du Shisun smiled to himself, after everything we've been through, we've finally achieved our goal. Kylie was the genius I had my eye on from the start at the Royal Academy, not Ken. Kylie was the first female knight to reach the master level in a crisis, possessing immense S-rank potential. Despite the complicated past, including her involvement in the elixir incident, it's great to have Ken join the team now. Ken asked curiously, so, what should I do now? Do I need to reveal my true identity and gender? He gave her complete freedom to decide for herself. She could continue living as she was or choose to come out. Without hesitation, Ken said, I want to keep things as they are. With the first matter settled, Daoxian changed the subject. Now, about the important business you mentioned, let's discuss the plan to raid the dungeon. There are 2 guards at the dungeon, and bats fly out from inside to hunt for food. Daoxian's team entered the dungeon. Everyone filled with anticipation for the mission. The soldier at the rear bowed his head and said, we'll stop here. Good luck, young master. He replied, very well. Thank you all for guiding us. Daoxian called out to the others, strike team, follow me this way. Josh rushed over excitedly upon hearing the command. He exclaimed, I can't believe I was chosen for the dungeon raid. This is such an honor, my lord. Every time I go on an outdoor mission with you, my heart races. Ken, meanwhile, was utterly confused. Are we on a field trip or something? He habitually took out a lantern. Here, I'm also carrying the magic lamp you entrusted to me, my lord. He pulled out something else. It's great to see Josh so full of energy today. But this time, I brought something even better than the lamp, so no worries. Lavina emerged from her book. She cast a spell to illuminate the entire dungeon. Leave it to me. Green light enveloped the area, leaving the other 2 in awe. He concluded, this lighting should be more than enough. Let's start exploring this ancient dungeon. The atmosphere inside the dungeon was eerily silent. It was clear there were creatures lurking within. A fanged wolf locked eyes with the intruders. Ken lunged forward with his spear, taking the initiative to attack. Just as the spear was about to strike the wolf, she was stunned by what happened next. The wolf turned tail and fled deeper into the dungeon. Ken felt something was off. This matter was really complicated. Just as the young master said, this is truly a unique labyrinth. Most of the monsters here are spiritual entities. Physical attacks are almost ineffective against them. Then their weakness must be. Daoxian's mind blade flew in, cleaving the wolf demon in two. Only spiritual power can destroy them. Close your eyes and sense the positions of the other monsters. Daoxian warned Josh over there. Just as he was leaning against the cave wall to rest, he suddenly exclaimed, "Oh no!" The cave wall shifted abruptly, nearly causing Josh to fall. Ken gasped in surprise. "I think that's a secret passage." She looked at him curiously. "Young master, how do you know so much about this labyrinth?" "It's because I've already passed through it in a past life." Daoxian is so familiar with it because this was the first labyrinth he conquered in his previous life. The reason Daoxian could pass through alone while many others failed is that this labyrinth was designed specifically for warriors with spiritual power. Daoxian was also known as the ancient martial artist or battle master. As a warrior, this labyrinth was originally built as a trial ground for people like him. But as warriors gradually disappeared from the continent, conquering it became nearly impossible. The one once considered his close friend was none other than the ancestor of the Marquis family. As they ventured deeper into the dungeon, Daoxian squinted into the distance, looking astonished. Finally, the group emerged from the dungeon, only to find a fully intact manor before them. Josh asked in confusion, "Have we made it out?" "No, this is still part of the labyrinth. The structure of this maze is truly unexpected." He froze, feeling like this layout was strangely familiar. A voice called from behind, "Young master, there's something here." Josh looked curiously at the open space. "I wonder what this place is." Several statues stood there. Ken stared in shock at the bronze statue. Daoxian reminded them, "Now we should continue our assault on the labyrinth. You asked before, Ken, have you heard the rumors about the hidden treasure left behind by the Marquis ancestor in this labyrinth?" She replied, "Yes. In fact, most of the relics found are related to the Marquis family. The Marquis had attempted to enter this labyrinth multiple times whenever it appeared. But most of the knights and mercenaries sent never returned. The family suffered immense losses as a result. The most recent failure was 5 years ago, just as Ken pushed open the door. She saw her family weeping in the room. Ken also shed tears, grieving for the fate of her family. She looked up at the photograph. "The leader of the expedition back then was my brother, the heir of Marquis Jia Xinjia. After hearing news of the labyrinth's appearance, my brother, who was studying at the Royal Academy at the time, set off for the labyrinth with his knight escorts and soldiers. But in the end, he never returned." Ken made up her mind, "No matter what happens, master, I must reach that place." She continued, "At least for the sake of my brother." Yoshi-hun asked, "What do you think? Do you believe that rumor is true?" Ken answered without hesitation, "Yes, I'm certain. That statue is Jeremiah Zedja, the founder of the Marquis G family." The three of them were walking toward the courtyard where the statue stood. Suddenly, a notification appeared on the screen. The alert warned, "This is a mandatory mission zone. Unauthorized entry may result in death. Recommended requirements: spear skill at least rank B, proficiency level 1 or higher, and possession of the Marquis G family spear techniques." He called out immediately, "Ken, are you ready?" "Yes, master." Yoshi-hun entrusted her, "It's finally your turn. Can I leave this to you?" Ken replied with determination, "Please leave it to me." Without hesitation, she walked alone toward the statue. The ground trembled beneath her feet, the statue's eyes lit up, and its heavy legs began to move. Jeremiah roared, "Who dares disturb my eternal rest?" Ken raised her spear toward him. She announced, "I am Ken of the G family. I seek the teachings of our founder." Jeremiah replied, "You are from the G family? I will show no mercy. Let me see if you are worthy." He swung his spear, unleashing 2 waves of power. Ken grew even more certain. This was the Marquis G's signature technique, Raging Surge. She reminded herself to observe carefully and miss no detail. Yoshi-hun turned to leave, "Then I'll leave this to Ken. You have your own matters to attend to. Go handle your part now." Yoshi-hun walked toward another statue, where a worn figure stood. The warning appeared again, "This is a mandatory mission zone. Unauthorized entry may result in death. Recommended requirements: combat skill at least rank B, intermediate level 1. Spiritual arts skill at least rank B, intermediate level 1. He did not stop, half his body fading into a shadowy form. The worn figure standing in place began to change. The ground beneath trembled, and the stones around it bounced upward. The worn figure's eyes flared to life, its voice nearly a roar, "Who dares?" The elder had awakened. With a clap of his hands, "Who dares disturb my slumber?" The worn figure looked at his opponents and laughed. How amusing. A little fairy and a mere novice in the ways of the world. The two of them were dismissed with contempt by the elder. The worn figure decided to teach them a lesson. Very well. If you can withstand my challenge, I will reward you accordingly. Do you dare accept? Duxian didn't even hesitate before immediately agreeing. I've got this. He thought to himself that in his past life, he had passed this trial with only mid-rank stage 3 spiritual energy. But now, he was on a completely different level. This was nothing to him. He activated a recovery formation, and dozens of wind blades assailed him. Zenek, who had been so arrogant just moments ago, suddenly fell silent. The elder was stunned, unable to believe that mere mid-rank spiritual energy could be this powerful. The elder forced out, "You know, having a lot doesn't mean you have everything, right?" Duxian replied calmly, "Of course. I've been looking forward to this fight." Zenek stomped his foot hard, gathering momentum. The elder channeled energy into his fist and swung at him. Duxian controlled his flying swords to block the attack. Dozens of sword tips rained down on Zenek, but the elder dodged nimbly. Zenek raised his fist, determined to teach the junior a lesson. Lavina leapt forward, forming a barrier with her formation. "Be careful." The elder's fist crashed heavily against the barrier, and the two sides were locked in a stalemate. She turned back worriedly and asked, "Lauer, are you okay?" Duxian slid backward as the attack directly impacted him. Lavina must have set up a defensive barrier. Kadena appeared and asked, "You've encountered a rather dangerous opponent. How does it feel to face him head-on?" Duxian answered, "He's incredibly strong. I can't even begin to counter him. I have to dodge with all my might, but that doesn't count as a real fight." He analyzed, "That's the terrifying part of facing a penetration-type user, either neutralize it or keep your distance." He sidestepped the next punch. Zenek's assault was as fierce and relentless as a raging tiger. The elder warned, "The warm-up is over. Now you'll see my true power." Duxian suddenly realized that in his past life, Zenek had been holding back. Zenek possessed two spiritual abilities, flame manipulation and physical enhancement, boosting his strength and defense. Not to mention his martial skills had reached the Grandmaster level, making him nearly unbeatable in pure strength. As Zenek's fist struck, he remained confident, but Duxian leapt into the air, dodging the blow. He controlled his flying swords, fighting in midair, still holding the advantage of ranged control. Dozens of swords rained down like hail, and Zenek stumped the ground to steady himself. Cracks slowly spreading across the surface. A surge of powerful energy erupted from the fissures. Josh, watching from the sidelines, was stunned. What's going on? Ken's situation was also dire. She glanced worriedly at Duxian. "Young master," Zenek shouted from the other side, "I told you, kid, and numbers aren't everything." The elder raised his fist. "These weaklings? I can handle them with ease." Zenek disarmed every one of those long swords with each precise strike. But when the elder saw the sword wound on his arm, his confidence shattered instantly. This was a blade imbued with magic. Only then did he realize that not just this sword, but all the others were enchanted as well. A mere rookie could wield so many magical blades? Zenek let out a pained roar. As waves of sword energy rained down from above, Duxian knew he had to amplify his power. The magic swords had shattered, and they needed more energy. Zenek must go all out below to activate the final purification card. A flying dragon soars in front of him, letting out an intimidating roar. Duxian tenses up. Damn it, no matter where he dodges, he can't avoid this strike. Cadena's voice echoes in his ear, "Stay calm, Lon. Open your eyes and observe." He points out, "It looks like a dragon, but it's just a fake firearm. Find the magic core at the center of that mass of magical energy. That's the heart of the weapon." He notices the glow in its mouth. That's the internal energy core. So Duxian summons even more sword light. A evenly matched battle unfolds, one side wielding holy light, the other a giant dragon. The moment they collide, the central area seems to explode. Zenek stands frozen, watching the scene before him. He's landed safely, completely unharmed. The elder assesses his opponent. "I must admit this much. You've surpassed the level I can evaluate." Zenek concedes. "This battle, you've won." As the sword points at him, the elder continues, "This is your victory. Meeting an outstanding junior like you, I can depart in peace. System notification, Zenek's forced challenge quest has been completed. Your reward is the key to Villa B's vault. 50,000 in-game currency, and a large amount of experience points. You've earned the title recognized by Zenek." Zenek reveals, "I look forward to the day your heart force ability reaches the master level. The elder takes out a glowing heart force crystal. I look forward to the day your heart force ability reaches the master level. Genik hands it to him. I hope what you've gained from today's battle will aid you on your future path. Daoxuan is taken aback. What? Wasn't the reward for the hidden quest already set? Genik's body remains motionless, as if reverting to the statue's original form. A voice comes from behind. Stop. Even Jeremiah has accepted it. Time's up. I can't defeat you. I've lost. Ken is left panting after their fierce battle. Jeremiah says sincerely. You've truly surprised me. You held on until the very end. I bow to your perseverance. He declares. Ken of the Purple Pole Clan, you've passed. Joshua jumps for joy upon hearing the news. Meanwhile, Daoxuan stares intently at the notification screen. The system notification appears. The forced challenge mission from Jinek has been completed. I can't help but feel secretly pleased. Good. Everything is going according to plan. They entered the mansion together. A door was opened. Inside was a luxurious living room. Josh couldn't help but marvel. The level of luxury here rivals the villas in the capital, Daoxian told them. You've worked hard. Now, rest for a while. I'll contact you again through the guild channel. Until then, rest in this room. Josh obeyed. Yes, young master. You must be tired today too, right? He waited until the two left the room before continuing. Daoxian couldn't wait to check. Now, let's see the rewards. The system interface appeared. He clicked on Zenek's icon. Confirming the title. Information updated. A S-rank powerhouse recognized by Zenek. Effect, increases combat power by 20%. Mental energy skill capabilities. And skill proficiency. Daoxian was satisfied. Not bad. Still, there's a bit of regret. A buff related to swordsmanship would have been better. But this can be obtained elsewhere. Daoxian noticed the item left by the elder. Next is. When he touched the mental core. A notification appeared. Zenek's S-rank mental core. Effect, enhances some of the user's mental abilities. This is a special mental core left behind by Zenek for future generations. Depending on the user's choice, they will be granted a special ability. Daoxian was stunned. S-rank, huh? In his past life, he was the first to clear the dungeon but only received a B-rank core. And those who came after only got C-rank cores. He pressed his lips together, making a silent decision. Then, Daoxian placed the mental core into his mouth. His entire body began to emit a golden glow. Notification updated. You have used Zenek's S-rank mental core. The effects of the mental core spread throughout his body. Growth effects matching the player's personal abilities are now being displayed. Please select two options from the following. 2 growth options, heart force power increases to 10 times the controllable total mass. 3 growth options, heart force control increases to 10 times the number of objects that can be manipulated simultaneously. Heart force influence range doubles, enhancing perception distance and mental transmission range. Daoxuan was overjoyed. He had to choose from these options. It was almost unbelievable. He silently reassured himself to calm down and make a careful choice. Daoxuan focused on the 3 core aspects of heart force, power, control, and influence range. Power refers to the total mass that can be manipulated through heart force. The greater the power, the heavier the objects you can move, and the faster their speed. Control allows you to manipulate multiple objects at once and adjust movements with greater precision. Finally, influence range. Influence range determines the effective distance and perception range. Daoxuan pondered as he stroked his chin, his finger hovering over a yellowed option on the screen. Prompt, you have selected influence range and control. Daoxuan's entire body was enveloped in a golden glow. He was lifted into the air, energy crackling around him like electricity. Daoxuan opened his eyes, which now shimmered with golden light. His feet gently touched the ground. Daoxuan turned his palm to the side, testing his new abilities. Objects in the room began floating one after another. With just his own strength, he could now lift so many things with his energy. Daoxuan exclaimed in delight, "Is this what it feels like?" He compared it to himself. This sensation was nothing like when he had reached heart force mastery in his past life. Honestly, I think I could defeat 3 past versions of myself in a heart force duel now. No, I definitely win 100%. I've already gained the mental strength equivalent to 15 years of cultivation from my past life. This is all thanks to the mechanical rotation meditation I learned from Mira. And now, my power and control far surpass what I had before. Daoxuan set the objects back down on the floor. Suddenly, a blue stream of energy drifted in from somewhere. He recalled that it seemed like he had received a hidden reward. Ken had also received a reward from Jeremiah. At the time, she stared blankly at the ring in her hand. Indeed, Ken is awakening now. That stream of energy was coming from her. Daoxuan felt a quiet thrill. It seems she has successfully awakened. Outside, Josh rushed in and shouted, "Young master, something big has happened." He quickly turned around. "What happened?" He replied, "Well, during break, when I went for a walk behind the villa." Joshua recalled the mountain-high pile of white bones. "And there, I found a clearing that looked like a graveyard." The three of them hurried to the spot he had discovered. Upon arrival, Daoxian took the lead and stopped to look around. His expression instantly darkened. Here, bones and skulls were piled high, cobwebs everywhere. He turned to Ken and asked if this place was even stranger than he had imagined. "Do we need to find something here?" She admitted as much. "Yes, young master." Daoxian waved his hand toward the pile, and a golden light rose. "Now is the time to test your newly gained power. Make good use of the elixir's effects." Daoxian scanned the pile of bones for inspection. There, he found a ring. It had an insignia engraved inside. That skeleton was the one he had seen wearing the ring earlier. Ken suddenly let out a gasp upon seeing the skeleton. Joshua took the item. "Young master, I found this beside the body." He took the stack of papers in surprise. This is a journal. September 7th, I heard from Fabian about Jenna's dungeon. He's still bitter about me scoring the highest entry points. So him sharing this information is really suspicious. September 10th, Fabian from the McNeil family seems to want to make amends. He suggested we raid the dungeon ourselves, without adult help. September 12th, after some thought, I decided to accept his offer. It seems waiting for family backup is already too late. So I decided to recover the family's manual myself. September 15th, with guards and private soldiers. The assault team easily breached the dungeon entrance. Fabian cooperated well, and everything seemed to go smoothly. September 19th, something went wrong. The dungeon was full of spirits, and physical attacks were useless. September 21st, we were betrayed. Fabian and his men vanished during the night. Even the hired guide, mercenaries, and priest disappeared. He must have bribed everyone. I found the bodies of the priest and the guide. There's no doubt Fabian did this. The entrance we used had completely vanished. The journal's owner muttered to himself, "No matter what, I must survive." Now, only me and one night guard remain. If I don't make it back, I worry Kylie will be left alone. This cursed dungeon, I never should have come. He found the rest of the pages unreadable. His mind seemed to have shattered. Ken stood there, his body trembling uncontrollably. Her aura surged around her, her eyes bloodshot. Dewey recalled the name Fabian. He was the son of Marquis McNeil. He was the youngest son of Marquis Clifford Z. McNeil, a master of axe techniques. His father was already over 40 when he was born. Though he had no exceptional talent, the Marquis doted on him endlessly, even forming a knightly order just for him. Wait, why does this sound exactly like my own situation? He cleared his throat and called out, "Ken, I deeply regret the tragedy that has occurred here." As for Fabian of the McNeil family, Ken replied, "I have pledged my loyalty to you, my lord. I will not let personal grudges affect you." She emphasized a point, but Dewey was startled when he heard Ken continue. Tears streaming down her face, she said, if you ever clash with the McNeil family, please let me handle it first." Lowering his gaze to the weeping Ken, Dewey said, "I swear. I will give you a chance to seek justice and repay this betrayal. But remember, this vengeance must be earned by your own strength." "Thank you," she answered, "my lord, I will never tarnish your name." He mused that dealing with Fabian alone would be nothing, but there was no rush. It seemed inevitable that we would eventually face the McNeil family head-on. We're not the only ones who know how to play dirty. When the time comes, we'll return everything to the McNeil family tenfold. After the ambush, the Genak underground city was relocated to the territory of Calify. This was thanks to an unexpected special reward. When he obtained the energy core, the system announced Genak Underground City Core. X rank, granting administrative rights over a large-scale Genak underground city, allowing you to create or close entrances anywhere. Warning, if the core is destroyed, the underground city will vanish. Dewey happily claimed the spoils. Information about large underground cities was top secret. Even with his own intelligence network, he had never heard of such a thing. Using the underground city core, Dewey recovered all remaining items within. He repurposed it into a training ground, where guidance could be received from two ancient masters. Even Master Bernard of the Wind arrived and successfully enhanced Dewey's mental strength. He had his own plans. From now on, we must focus on training soldiers, reorganizing the knightly order, and preparing for what's to come. A month later, Denton from Mira First Academy returned excitedly to ask, "Long time no see, Lavin." Dewey smiled and replied, "Good to see you. How are the trainees doing?" He reported, "Those new recruits? Their growth is astonishing. Now I understand why you're so invested in them. Currently, Denton oversees the first-year students at the academy. As both headmaster and swordsmanship instructor, he walked down the hallway while asking questions. How's it going? How's the recruitment of guild members coming along? Denton hesitated for a moment. I've been focusing on capable people, but surprisingly, not many are willing to join. Dao Xian reminded him, don't force anyone. Just make sure to keep the people I mentioned. He agreed, of course, I won't let any potential subordinates slip away. In the connection system, each person can only join one guild, and the guild leader can only have one guild. But there are ways to bypass this rule. They use a joint guild creation permit, which allows the creation of a core guild that shares effects with the main guild. The leader can choose which effects to share. Dao Xian mused to himself that this was a consumable item he obtained upon completing the main quest. With it, he could create a new guild of the same size as the first one. I plan to use it to establish a guild exclusive to players, completely separate from the first purple guild. The first guild has already reached the highest level. Having another guild like this will give them far more power than any other player guild. Leave it all to me. I trust you completely. I'll hand over most of the authority of the purple guild to you. Dunton readily accepted the responsibility. Leave it to me. Those old guilds would never imagine we're secretly building such power. With that, he hummed a tune happily and turned to leave. Du Shishuan looked at his hand, which was transforming. He reverted to his disguised appearance. Well, before I leave today, I should upload a few records. Urgent footsteps echoed down the hallway. Zhouwen burst through the door and announced, there's news. Pei Daoxian just appeared in the first training ground. The other two were shocked. Really? What score do you think he'll aim for this time? Hurry, if we're lucky, we might get to team up with him. 2 months have passed since the first batch of students enrolled in the first party academy. The 600 inaugural students have been training according to the academy's methods, showing astonishing progress. One unique aspect of their training sets them apart. It's the virtual combat conducted through phantom magic arrays. The virtual combat program generates special environments and monsters to evaluate the students' scores. Scores are tallied weekly for rankings, and the graduation exam will use a similar system. But in the 2 months since the program began, the top spot has never changed. They believe the undisputed top student, Pei Daoxian, holds a position in the academy. That is simply unattainable for others. Daoxuan is currently battling a monster. He swung his sword and slayed a massive beast. The top spot has always belonged to Daoxuan, without any change. Everyone was stunned by the sight. The monster had just set a new record. I thought we were finally catching up this time. The two friends whispered among themselves, how could he score so high when he barely attends class? Another chimed in, even the instructors acknowledge his strength. Rumor has it he's busy with first night order missions. After finishing his battle, Daoxuan returned to the academy and was surprised to see others rushing toward him. Blake asked cheerfully, looking for a sparring partner? How about a match today? Someone nearby retorted, in your dreams. I already booked a duel with him last week. A strong arm pushed them both aside. Out of my way. Tianming muttered, last time's loss wasn't humiliating enough. Today, I'll settle the score. Daoxuan sighed and asked, don't you ever get tired of this? But Tianming refused to back down. Losing to you means we can't graduate. I'll keep challenging you until I win. Blake patted his shoulder. At least take turns. You're always so reckless. Watching the two bicker, Daoxuan chuckled to himself. Still, I admire your persistence. At least now most of the newbie challengers have disappeared, so we can talk like normal people. His words instantly silenced the arguing pair. Alright, Daoxuan agreed. How about a 2-on-1 match today? The two were thrilled by the offer. At the training grounds, they ended up sprawled on the floor, thoroughly defeated. Tianming, with a swollen lump on his head, cursed, ugh, not even teaming up could land a single hit on him. What a freak! Blake added, no matter how you look at it, Daoxuan is an outlier. Hard to believe he's one of us. Tianming insisted, you're just not strong enough yet. One day, I will beat him. Blake suddenly asked, what about you? Daoxuan replied, what do you mean? Blake reminded him, the Purple Society is all the rage in the business world lately. Even the instructors are promoting it. Tianming turned to leave. Not interested. I'm not joining any groups. I've already turned down all the gangs from my hometown, Blake said. I'm considering joining, though. The terms sound good. Daoxuan turned back, curious. Terms? Blake revealed, I want the best treatment in the best guild. Even if I start my own, I doubt I could surpass his. Think about it, after graduation, it won't be easy to find another chance to beat Pei Daoxuan. Wouldn't it be better to join the same guild and spend more time together? Tianming couldn't help but hesitate at the thought of the day he could defeat Du Xian. Though a little embarrassed, he still asked, "Do you still have that flyer for the promotional event?" Blake said in surprise, "You still haven't gotten one?" Tianming answered honestly, "After losing to Pei Du Xian that day, I was so angry I threw it away." Blake shrugged and advised, "Just ask the instructor for another one. Seriously, you need to control that hot temper of yours. You're like a barrel of gunpowder, focus on sorting yourself out first." Meanwhile, in Mila's first division, Hute was giving a report. It seemed the business targeting outsiders had finally started turning a profit. Du Xian crossed his arms and replied, "I see. That sounds promising." He predicted, "We expect a large influx of outsiders in the future, so we're planning to expand to handle the unexpected crowd." He added, "The guild already has enough manpower and funds. If you need any assistance, we're always willing to cooperate," Hute answered respectfully. "We're truly grateful for your personal support." Baron Raoul, suddenly, a notification popped up on the screen. A message came through, "Young master, we have a situation." Bernard warned, "We've just received word from our informant in Comfort Castle. The grim news arrived, Countess Melvanine had been poisoned." Hearing this, his expression darkened instantly. Du Xian cursed under his breath, "Blast it, is the script really playing out as predicted?" He commanded, "All guild members, emergency orders. All forces must remain on high alert from this moment on. Treat this as a wartime situation. Prepare for action." Everyone acknowledged the order, "Understood, young master." Du Xian's robes billowed in a powerful gust of wind. He gave the first order, "All knights from Mila's division, head to Caliph Castle immediately. Additionally, there will be an emergency meeting with all officers tonight. Until then, await further instructions." That is all. Du Xian opened the door and left the room. At the teleportation gate, Denton, Kai, and Nakia were already waiting. He stepped forward and asked, "What's the situation now?" Denton reported, "The Countess still hasn't woken up. But the healing mages and priests have begun treatment." He assigned tasks, "Kai, come with me straight to the main estate. Denton, you meet up with Bernard and Nakia at Caliph Castle." Everyone responded in unison, "Understood, young master." He relayed an order to her. "Finally, Nakia, I have a special mission for you, a classified one. Since this is confidential, no information is to be leaked." A teleportation gate appeared before them. Du Xian prepared to step through. "First, we must rush to the main estate." In his memory, he recalled the vow he had made when he first opened his eyes in Rao Aston's body. "I swear, I will accept this reality and face whatever is to come." Duo Shiyun vows to stop this tragedy no matter what. Tragedy looms over the Ashina family, and I must stop it at all costs. At Comfort Castle, on the side of the Ashina Aston family, Duo Shiyun pushes open the door and enters the room. "Ivan, I came as soon as I heard the news." He looks anxious, his whole body trembling as he steps forward. "Lord Raven," Ivan admits his mistake. "I failed to fulfill my duty to the Ashina family. I have no defense." Duo Shiyun cuts him off. "Don't blame yourself too much. Ivan, let's go see father first. Philip, lead the way." This way, the two of them head upstairs. The room where Melvin is staying is heavily guarded. The emblems on their armor bear the insignia of their organization. You notice the insignia and fall silent for a moment. The heavy door slowly creaks open. Duo Shiyun steps lightly into the room. Inside lies the frail Melvin on the bed, surrounded by his grieving family. Dylan's wife, Lady Estella, asks tearfully, "Young master, what should we do about this?" You furrow your brow and approach your father's bedside. His body is oozing streaks of purple fluid. After seeing this, Duo Shiyun presses his lips together, suppressing his anger. You turn to Marvin and ask, "What exactly happened? Why has father ended up like this?" He stammers. "Actually," Marvin says sadly, "we still don't know the exact cause. But based on the symptoms, it seems like mana backlash." Duo Shiyun is shocked upon hearing those words. Mana backlash. As far as you know, every knight who uses mana has a channel called a mana vein inside their body. Just as blood flows through blood vessels, mana flows in a fixed direction through the mana veins, circulating within the body. When, for some reason, the mana begins to flow in reverse, this is called mana backlash. In most cases, it leads to death. Even if one survives, they may be permanently disabled. Marvin continues, though this case is slightly different from what I've seen before. But mana backlash is the only explanation for the Count's current condition. Duo Shiyun looks deeply worried. Is there any way to treat this? No matter what, we must stabilize his condition. He's completely out of options. Under these circumstances, divine power won't work. All we can do is pray for him. The youngest son bit his lip and prayed silently. Please, do everything you can. Now, only father and son remained in the room. Duo Shishun heard Count Keden's voice. The Count's willpower is truly admirable. He must be enduring immense suffering. He was surprised to see the Count appear. Duo Shishuan quickly pleaded. Master, is there really no other way? Cat and Ass replied. Let me temporarily borrow his senses for a moment. His hand reached toward Melvin. He felt it. The sensation was extremely unusual. This is completely different from any magical backlash I've ever experienced. Duo Shishuan hesitated. Do you mean there's hope for a cure? Cat and Ass wasn't sure. This is very complicated. First, his condition is highly abnormal. He analyzed. With this amount of magical power, he should have reached the intermediate level long ago. Yet he's been unable to break through. The Count's own magic is clashing with the reversed flow, trying to expel it. The bad news Cat and Ass brought was that he might not last much longer. He proposed two possible solutions. First, identify and address the root of the backlash. There's an abnormal magical force mixed in. If we can block it, his magic might return to normal. The second method is to forcibly suppress the backlash. But this requires a master-level mage to perform with extreme precision, and the risk is enormous. Even if successful, there's no guarantee the Count's magic would stabilize this way. If both methods fail, in the worst case, Duo Shishuan left the room, followed by Ivan. Duo Shishuan entered the living room and found it empty. He turned to Ivan and asked why their eldest brother hadn't arrived yet. Ivan told him 2 teams had gone missing in a strange dungeon. Days ago, the eldest son had gone to investigate in person. Duo Shishuan suddenly understood, no wonder he couldn't reach the guild. It was because of the dungeon incident. That place is located at the most remote edge of the Earl's territory. Tu Shihan suddenly noticed this abnormality. Inside the room, rows of chairs were neatly arranged. He hastily asked, wait, where is the Knight Commander-in-Chief? And Commander Ernest Bozo? Where is Uncle C? Yuan replied, the Commander-in-Chief has entered the dungeon with the young master. Uncle Bozo has been away for over a week, conducting mobile training. Tu Shihan asked in confusion, wait, who is in charge of the Earl's family and castle defenses now? He revealed that the main residence is currently guarded by Baron Carlos A. Aston, the commander of the Silver Bear Knight Order. The castle is under Baron Weiss Aston, the leader of the security forces. He remembered the insignia on the guard's armor. Damn it, why is the Silver Bear Knight Order handling the escort? The Aston territory has 4 Knight Orders. The Golden Bear Knight Order, the elite force directly under the family head. The Silver Bear Knight Order, composed of Aston family members. The Iron Bear Knight Order, including commoners or outsiders. The Chain Knight Order, not yet officially established but training and awaiting their duties. However, overall, the Silver Bear is considered less capable in battle than the Iron Bear. He ordered Yuan immediately dispatch messengers and summon the Golden Bear Knight Order, filling their vacancies with other members. And command the Baron to immediately seal off Fort Subsidy completely. No one is allowed in or out, and absolutely no outsiders are to approach. Under any circumstances. He noted, understood. Poor guy, Tu Shihan thought to himself. The timing of this incident is just too coincidental. Everyone thinks father's collapse was an accident, but I don't believe that. This happened when my brother and most of the military forces were away, too suspicious. If it weren't for the messenger I planted in the main residence, it might have been too late. If father dies under these circumstances, the entire territory will descend into chaos. We nearly suffered a fatal blow. We must prepare countermeasures. He reminded, I will open a private portal to bring the knights and members to Fort Subsidy. Dan Shin, immediately go to the villa with Nakia and Kai. He responded, yes, my lord. Tu Shihan had his own plans. The enemy was still unaware of his and the first-rank society's true strength. I will use this to deploy forces and eliminate all suspicious activities. A report came in, my lord, something has happened. The 6-wall outpost is monitoring soldiers ahead. The 6 southern noble families bordering my territory are mobilizing troops toward the border. That is a crucial armory, including the Knight Orders. Tu Shihan vowed, it seems they're targeting that place. I'll show those traitors what happens to backstabbers. Night fell, and within this imposing manner, Lasser summoned the new guest. Finding a suitable place wasn't easy. Forgive me for receiving you in such a humble setting. The man before him was Jaden Zay Aston. Jaden furrowed his brow as he stepped into the manor, eyeing the person in front of him. The other spoke first, don't mind the surroundings. How is the situation? Lasser reported, according to our spy intelligence, the old lady is on her deathbed, and most of the tower's main forces are suppressing a dungeon rebellion. Jaden sneered, serves him right. He should have known his place. The tower has fallen into our trap. There's nothing left to worry about, right? The elder voiced his concern, no one can rally them now, but I just received word Raoul Aston has somehow appeared at the manor. Jaden's eyes narrowed. That kid Raoul? He thought to himself, ever since the incident in the capital, that boy has been far too active. Lasser reassured him, you needn't worry. We've already deployed troops within his territory. He'll be forced to return soon. Jaden replied, good. We've wasted enough resources moving those useless pawns. He ordered, keep a close watch on him and report immediately. The elder responded, as you command, my lord. Jaden stepped outside and called out to the knights, brothers, you've waited long enough. With fervor, he declared, our great cause has finally begun. This is the crucial step to restore the Aston family. We will purge those who disrupt our family's order and rewrite Aston's history with our own hands. The knights roared in response, their spirits high. Jaden smirked, thinking, those counts, I'll drag them from their peaks into the abyss. Duo Huayun's side is already settled. Now, I leave this to you. The man accepted the task, consider it done, my lord. His name was Huayun, a senior knight of the Golden Bear Knights and the best choice for the current situation. Now, a day after their father's collapse, the nearby knights had returned to the manor. After careful observation, he found them all trustworthy. Duo Huayun entrusted the protection of their father to their leader, Huayun. Carlo, the commander of the Silver Lotus Bear Knights entered and asked, isn't this going too far? With sorrow, he asked, do you mean strengthening the guard as a sign of distrust toward the Silver Lotus Bear Knights? Duo Huayun denied it. It's not that I don't trust you, Carlo. I just refuse to trust anyone. I'll keep reinforcing protection until my brother returns. I hope you understand. Both fell silent, their expressions grim. He mused inwardly, 5 Golden Bear Knights now take turns guarding the 5th floor room where father lies. Without my permission, no one may enter. The conspiracy must have started within this manor. I can't trust anyone now. I must keep strengthening father's protection. In Melvin's room, the lights dimmed, the air heavy as Duo Huayun stepped inside. Walking to the bedside, he saw Alonso using magic to treat the count. He asked worriedly, any progress? Alonso, the bishop of the Xenon Order, apologized, for me. Just maintaining the count's current state is already taking all my effort. Du Huayun glanced at Melvin lying on the bed. Noticing his condition was worsening, he requested, you've done well. Could you step aside for now? Once they were alone, Du Huayun asked Nakia, how is it? She replied, I believe your assumption is correct. This must be a case of magic parasitism. Hearing this, Du Huayun sighed heavily. Discovering a key figure of the kingdom assassinated by magic parasitism in a single day. The exact cause was never determined. But it had already triggered a massacre. He had long suspected it was connected to the annihilation of the Count's family. Du Huayun asked, concerned, can this be cured? Nakia answered, based on the data you provided, I've developed a remedy. Treating magic parasitism won't be an issue. However, I can't guarantee what the Count's condition will be after treatment. I'll do my best. I trust you. If it's you, Nakia, I believe you can do it. After hearing this, Nakia headed downstairs, leaving Du Huayun muttering to himself, now then. Du Huayun had time to deal with those people. Let's go capture the masterminds behind this chaos. He quickened his pace and asked, you said there are troops stationed at the border of the Calypso territory? Philip confirmed, yes, reportedly composed of a squad of private knights and mercenaries. There's no official report yet, but given the scale of forces surrounding Calypso, a territorial war could break out at any moment. Du Huayun understood, but they need the royal family's approval to declare war, right? Philip replied, even so, the enemy has already deployed, meaning they can declare war at any time. He urged, time is short. Let's return to the territory before passing through the portal. Du Huayun ordered, inform all territorial commanders about the developments in neighboring areas and have all knight orders prepare for battle. Philip noted, understood. By the way, there's a stranger eavesdropping by the wall. Night fell, and the moonlight dimly illuminated the mansion, with soldiers standing guard outside. A noise came from behind, catching someone's attention. Didn't you hear something? Before he could finish speaking, his companion was struck down. He met the same fate. And both fell without being able to report back to headquarters. The Royal Hunter's 6th Squad smirked, just as I heard. Security is lax. As planned, all the windows of the mansion are open. Good. Move to the designated positions and await orders. The remaining man replied, once we see the signal, kill them all and burn everything. No sooner had he spoken than the group vanished, leaving only Lama standing there. His blade dripped with blood. I've held my breath for decades, waiting for this day. Lama looked forward to personally ending the last breath of the Ashton family. Moonlight streamed through the castle room's window. 2 soldiers stood guard outside the door. One of them looked up and saw a flash of light above. Before he could react, a weapon pierced his head, startling the man beside him. A hand clamped over the guard's mouth from behind, while another drove a sword into his back. Muffled by the hand, he couldn't make a sound. The two guards were quietly laid on the ground by their assailants to avoid noise. Inside the room, Estella was fast asleep. Moonlight fell on her face, rousing her groggily. A hand swiftly covered Estella's mouth. Her trembling hands pressed against her attacker's chest, trying to push away, until Estella's hands fell limp, and she lost consciousness. Watching his men support her, Lama confirmed again. "Are you sure this is the target?" One of them answered firmly, absolutely certain. He felt everything was going smoothly. His men hoisted Estella onto their shoulders. Lama smirked. From this night on, the Count's family would be doomed. His men carried her out the window and fled. He mused to himself that everything was proceeding as planned. It seemed he only needed to observe a little longer. Lama calculated the time. It was almost time to send the signal. Suddenly, a fire erupted in the building across, captivating his attention. A soldier barely managed to shout, "Enemies! We're under attack," before he was struck down. A bloody massacre began, with countless knights falling. They were gradually overwhelmed, while their foes fought with terrifying ferocity. The fire spread into the castle, sending maids screaming, "Fire!" Seeing everything unfold as he wished, Lama chuckled to himself. He strode away, muttering, "This is the chaos I wanted." Hurry to the next target's location. Lama pushed open the door, and a strange odor wafted out. He froze, detecting the scent. Was it blood? Lama exploded in fury. "Didn't I tell you to be careful? How many times have I said not to harm the target?" His anger flared as he took in the scene inside, stunned. A surge of power erupted from within. Lama nimbly dodged backward as blood splattered across the floor. Philip had already dispatched the men across from him with precision. He said, "Was that an order? I wasn't aware." Lama cursed under his breath. This guy. He'd heard Philip had returned with Raoul. Sensing something was wrong, Lama decided to retreat immediately. He spun around and bolted in the opposite direction. As she fled, Lama glanced back to see if he was chasing after her. Seeing Philip standing still, Lama let out a sigh of relief. Thankfully, he hadn't pursued her. Protecting the target was her top priority. He leapt forward, shattering the glass door to pieces. It seemed Raoul had already set up an ambush. What a fool. Lama watched as the mansion was engulfed in flames, yet even so, tonight was still our victory. Upon hearing the report, Warren slammed the table in fury and stood up. He demanded angrily, "How did this situation spiral into such a disaster? Callow, what does this mean? Are you saying all of this is the Silver Bear Knight's fault?" The two argued fiercely, each shifting blame. The internal and external security were the Silver Bear Knight's responsibility. This matter will be thoroughly investigated afterward, and responsibility will be clearly assigned. If you doubt us, then investigate all you want. If you insult the knights who risked their lives to defend this city, I won't let this slide. Philip's ears were ringing from their bickering. Enough. Both of you, be quiet. The room fell silent as the two turned to look at him. Philip gave the order, report the losses. Warren had been waiting for this. Understood. During last night's attack, 30 guards and 5 Silver Bear Knights were killed. He added that, in addition, an auxiliary building was burned down, the East Garden was half destroyed, and the main tower suffered severe damage. This last piece of news made both of their faces pale. Amid the chaos, Miss Estella was kidnapped. Both exclaimed in shock. What? Warren shook his head in despair. This is a disaster. I'll never be able to face the Count and Lady again. Philip continued calmly, what about the enemy's trail? Any news from the pursuit team? Warren replied, for some reason, we lost their trail after they left the castle. The room fell into silence. He remained composed as he gave orders, let's do what we can for now. After the incident, I've already ordered the captain of the guard to seal the city gates. So they haven't escaped the castle yet. Philip assigned tasks, Lord Warren, please focus on protecting the Count. He turned to the other man. Lord Callow of the South, guard the estate. There may still be lingering enemies. He knew full well that last night's attackers had also sabotaged the outer gate, clearly to prevent the Count's main forces from returning. Philip predicted the enemy might strike again. Everyone must stay alert. Philip waited until the room was empty, even checking it thoroughly. Then he activated the system to report, I have carried out your orders, Master. Yoshi-sun was directing his actions from behind. He waited, then said, well done. Philip. The real prey will take the bait soon. Yoshi-sun murmured, now, it's time to deal with those rats. At a hastily built camp outside the city, someone rushed in with a message. It was the Southern Baron Jia, who reported excitedly, we have news. Dylan Aston and the Golden Bear Knights have returned from the dungeon. Waiting inside the tent was Commander Jaden. He asked calmly, where are the enemies? Jia spread the battle map on the table. He placed a piece on the map. The Supreme Commander and the main forces of the Baron of Ba are in the west and have begun retreating from the forbidden border. Jia had calculated carefully, even if the city gates were breached, even if they rushed at full speed, it would still take them at least 5 days. That guy pointed to another location, but now we're on the east side of Lutai Comfort, within the territory of South Baron Bennett. The terrain is mountainous, so we can reach it in 2 days. Jaden then asked, what's the military strength of Lutai Comfort? Jia reminded him that, given Lutai's size, it wouldn't be an easy opponent to handle. That guy reported that 5,000 guards remain to maintain order and daily security, including 60 elite knights and around 100 heavy armored cavalry, all confirmed. He knew our strength well. We only have about 1,500 elite troops, so capturing Lutai in 5 days won't be easy. However, Jaden said confidently, even if something goes wrong, the hostages we hold will be very useful. Jia couldn't help but agree. You're talking about the people we captured. Pulling that off right under the Earl's nose means our insiders must be very skilled. Jaden said calmly, it's not that hard. A man unfit to be Earl sits in that seat. That guy chimed in, you're right. The current Earl is too soft-hearted. Now is the time for your decisiveness and will, Commander. He said excitedly, exactly. The current Earl must be replaced. Jaden stepped outside, where an elite force was waiting. Among the soldiers, they wore familiar insignias on their chests. The sound of horns blared, signaling the battle was about to begin. Jaden shouted, all troops, attack Lutai Comfort immediately. At the edge of a forest, 2 horses were resting and grazing. Dylan sank into thought, gazing into the distance. Someone behind him asked, are you feeling better? That person was Trevor Z.HC, commander of the Golden Bear Knight Order. He called out, Commander, you sighed and blamed yourself, saying you still couldn't make up your mind. I should have judged more carefully. Trevor denied it. This isn't your fault, young master. I haven't been fooled this badly in a long time. Dylan pondered reports of a strange dungeon and missing soldiers and knights. After thorough procedures and verification, the Knight Order and I had no choice but to act. In the end, all those reports pointed to demons. But in reality, despite searching the dungeon thoroughly, I found nothing. No monster attacks on the scouts, no demons appearing. Even during the chaos in the capital, I was deceived and failed to hold my position. Dylan gritted his teeth, veins bulging on his face, furious that he had been fooled a second time by false reports. Trevor asked with concern, so where are you planning to go now? He recalled that right after leaving the dungeon, he had heard Raoul explain everything. At the time, Raoul had given him 2 choices. A little farther ahead, the main road split in 2 directions. One was to return to Fort Castle as soon as possible and gather the scattered legions. As for the second choice, Dylan decided that we needed to go somewhere first. Let's return to the castle and take another route from there. Suddenly, he called out to Commander Trevor, who looked somewhat surprised. Dylan continued, Commander, what do you think of Raoul? Trevor asked in confusion, are you referring to the 3rd young master? He recalled, before the Countess left her training. She had spoken to me about young Master Raoul. The Countess blamed herself for not seeing Raoul's true nature sooner. She thought Raoul was a child who needed lifelong protection. But his talents were too outstanding, even the Earl's estate couldn't contain him. Dylan was shocked upon hearing this. Father actually said that? He sighed and nodded in confirmation. If Raoul were just an ordinary child, the Countess would have warned us to be cautious. Even as the youngest son, young Master Raoul is not someone who can sit idly as Earl. This matter may be dangerous, but he has the ability to build a nation. As the Countess said, his talents are too great, one family cannot hold him. Dylan smiled proudly. When did that kid Raoul earn such admiration from the commander? He turned to leave. Let's go. Those who betrayed the Earl's estate must pay the price. Dylan mounted his horse and galloped away. With commanding presence, he shouted, forward. Those who fall behind will be left to their fate. His orders echoed through the mountains as everyone gathered and moved forward. They stopped before a grand gate, which was slowly pushed open by a single person. Inside lay several defensive formations. Lama mused to himself that the earlier battle had caused far more damage than expected. That guy Raoul left behind far more trouble than we imagined. No matter. It doesn't matter who survives, the outcome won't change. The fools of the Aston family will tear each other apart until only one remains. Beneath the abyss behind the gate lurk those monsters. He grinned wickedly. This will be the perfect moment to wipe out the Earl's remaining forces. From outside the dungeon, sounds could be heard coming from within. Gazing down at the creatures below from the railing, he pondered for a moment. Lama regretted, should we have deployed the cavalry earlier? But he hesitated. No, they must not be exposed yet. Whether or not Viscount Zedignan takes Comfort Castle, it no longer matters to us. The moment the battle begins, our agents will disable the castle's magical defenses. After that, we will open the interdimensional gate in the basement and send reinforcements and cavalry inside. The cavalry must be saved for the final blood ritual. His smile turns sinister. I can't wait to see it. Outside, hurried footsteps approached. A subordinate rushed in, panting. Captain, something terrible has happened. He brought bad news. The prisoners captured from the Earl's family had escaped. Lama was stunned. What? Enraged, he slammed his fist down. What are the guards even doing? You useless fools, can't even keep an eye on one woman? Laxia gave the order. She couldn't escape the underground area immediately, so they had to search inside. Terrified, the subordinates complied. Yes, sir. From behind came Estella's icy voice. Sorry, I underestimated you, just a woman. One of the subordinates was struck in the back, blood spraying everywhere. Lama stared in shock at the scene. He roared at his men, the prisoner has escaped. What are you waiting for? Capture her. Estella showed no fear of them. She moved with blinding speed, taking their lives in one swift motion. No one could stop Estella as she charged straight at him. Lama was horrified. What kind of moves are those? She's not just an ordinary person. Estella's face began to fade as a male voice spoke. This wretched copper mask, I never thought I'd have to remove it myself. It turned out the prisoner they had captured was him, disguised as Estella. He declared, for my fallen brothers, today I will have my vengeance. Lama froze when he saw him. There's no mistake. He recognized the man. He was the leader of the Intelligence Assembly, the Freedom Wing. Lama cursed under his breath. Damn it! He disguised himself as a prisoner just to wait for this moment. How did he even infiltrate this place? He sneered, this is exactly the kind of lowly trick you people always use. Seeing Lama's dark expression, he mocked, what's wrong? Having your own schemes backfire must sting, huh? Lama roared, arrogant fool. This is the royal forbidden ground. Don't think you'll leave here alive. His men immediately surrounded him. Yet he remained calm, smiling fearlessly. He leapt into the air, ready to unleash his skills. Several blades rained down, and his men fell one by one. Lama took action himself. You bastard! Streaks of swordlight, like flames, slashed toward him. The Han nation could not tolerate such a disgrace. Recklessly charging into enemy territory was sheer stupidity. Even if you managed to get here by luck, there's no way we'll let you leave alive. More men arrived, and he engaged in a fierce battle with his opponents. Seeing them appear, he scoffed. So, you've all finally shown yourselves? Lama sensed something was wrong. What? An explosion erupted, sending them flying. Blades gleamed with sharp edges. The protector appeared and ordered, kill them all. Leave no one. A bloody purge began. Yes, sir. Lama realized the situation was spiraling out of control. What? How did you get here? You deduce, judging by his attire, he must be in charge of this tunnel. He asks in confusion, why are you here? Didn't you already return to your territory? Doshio how casually surveys his surroundings. How intriguing. Does the Empire have a dedicated underground tunnel excavation force? How do you always manage to dig such underground tunnels? Ignored repeatedly, Lama grits his teeth, suppressing his rage. He muses inwardly, hundreds of cavalry, over 100 transformation gate soldiers, and royal knights all completely overpowered. When did he gather such a force? This is nothing like the scale I saw during his enfeoffment. Doshio how had this planned. Over the past 6 months, I recruited talent through the developer's analysis. With the system's support, we overcame challenges and trained relentlessly. Everyone has now reached expert-level knight proficiency. All our efforts have finally borne fruit. He smiles with satisfaction. Everything is going according to plan. Lama is left speechless, his heart swirling with unspoken emotions. He gazes dejectedly at the fallen bodies. Is this how my decade-long plan crumbles? No, I cannot give up like this. Shu watches Lama warily, suspicion written on his face. Crimson veins pulse across his arm. Lama roars, for the glory of His Majesty, the dark ritual. These words shock Dao Sten. The dark ritual? Shu steps closer, ready to strike. The figure behind him asks, Shu, what do you think? He analyzes, our opponent is a high-ranking warrior. Once he activates his tattoo and enters a frenzied state, he'll become even more dangerous. Dao Xian smiles. It seems this guy still has some fight left in him. So, do you want to take care of them? Shu coats his sword in green energy. It would be my honor to serve you. He vows resolutely, for my fallen comrades, I will defeat you with my own hands. Lan Xiao lets out a deafening roar from ahead. He charges forward, delivering a powerful strike. Dao Xian stands with arms crossed, watching the battle unfold. Zeke arrives just in time, calling out, "Young master." He reports the good news: "We've taken care of all the royal knights and dark knights below." He grins. "Faster than I expected." "Well done, everyone." Zeke glances worriedly at the battlefield. That berserker has the upper hand. "Is this going to be a problem?" he asks curiously. "Do you think so?" Dao Xian muses, "But his defense is better than I anticipated. At this rate, the battle will be decided soon." Zeke cheers her on. "Miss Shu, if you need the White Knight's help, just say the word." Shu grows even more furious, her strength surging. Fuming with rage, he focused all his attention as the llama launched an attack. The tree's eyes glowed with a golden light, the atmosphere turning primal and alluring. He unleashed all his resentment onto the llama, slashing with his razor-sharp blade. He let out a pained howl as blood sprayed everywhere. The llama's body was covered in wounds of varying depths, his legs giving way as he collapsed to his knees. Seeing his opponent fall, he turned and said, "I alone am enough." Dao Xian praised, "That was an incredible fight. Your skills have improved greatly. Now that it's over, move on to the next step." The daggers glowed with golden light, their radiance activated. The llama's body was pierced by several daggers, leaving him limp like a scarecrow. His entire form riddled with blades. The tree observed that the daggers had severed all the demonic energy invading his body. The llama's gear was scattered across the ground. Dao Xian ordered 2 subordinates to support him. "He's still alive. Take him away." He glanced at the llama's gear on the ground as Dao Xian reached out toward the pile. The entire set of equipment lifted into the air, gathering together under some unseen force. After inspecting it, he said, "Just as I suspected. This confirms it." Lavina confirmed, "Yes. To evolve the Crimson Demon to the next stage, we need to absorb this powerful armor tainted by demonic energy." Dao Xian exchanged more information. "I had a feeling this would be the case. Any other changes?" She shook her head. "I think we'll know once the absorption is complete. This alone isn't enough." He thought to himself with satisfaction, "Of course. Don't worry, we'll have plenty of chances to get more later." Dao Xian ordered his men, "All right, wrap this up quickly and let's head back. We still have a lot to do." The 2 behind him responded in unison, "Yes, young master." He took out a mask. "This might be a bit tricky, but Tree, I have one more favor to ask of you." The tree took the mask. "Leave it to me." He put on the mask and confidently disguised himself as the llama. "This is my specialty." Dao Xian smiled as he prepared the next step of his plan. "Now, it's time to clear out the pests hiding in the castle." The main hall of the estate was already crowded with people. Murmurs filled the air. "They gathered us all here. Has something happened to the family head? Don't say such ominous things. They must have found the ones who attacked the castle." The upper floor, however, was empty and much quieter. Wei Luan stepped out to announce, "Everyone, listen. I've gathered you here today to seek your opinions on a matter." He pointed to the screen beside him. "This concerns the magical message we received last night." The screen displayed a line of text. Someone who understood it gasped. "What?" "The Viscount." The message read that he had left the family and wandered far away. But he had never forgotten his family. He trained knights and soldiers, hoping one day he could be of help. When he heard the family was in crisis due to an unprecedented portal incident, he now in the imperial capital. Chang did everything he could to help the family. When he heard the family head was in mortal danger, he could no longer turn a blind eye to the family's crisis. He was leading the knights and soldiers he had trained toward the territory, hoping to overcome the family's difficulties together. Baron Gerard J. Aston. Elder Aston Gerard of the Aston family roared in fury, "What nonsense is this? How dare that despicable traitor set foot here again?" Baron Isaac chimed in, "But we don't need to keep bringing up the past." The old man said respectfully, "Keep bringing it up? He's a traitor." Baron Isaac admitted, "True, Viscount J. Aston's actions once hurt the family head, but under these circumstances, is it necessary to refuse someone who comes to help?" He rebuked, "How dare he bring troops into the territory without permission?" Isaac asked, "Has there been any armed conflict or looting?" The other replied, "No reports of anything like that so far." He concluded, "Then what's the problem? He didn't force his way in. Doesn't that show the Viscount means us no harm?" Gerard scolded them, "You ungrateful wretches. After all the favors the Earl's family has given you, how dare you say such things?" He stared at them in disbelief as they echoed such absurd claims. Gerard thought to himself, "Something terrible is about to happen in this territory." Dao Xuan had already foreseen this. The Aston Earl family was no ordinary house. They had obtained many privileges from the royal family to defend against the Forbidden Zone. For example, some territories paid taxes directly to the Earl instead of the crown, with the Earl only required to submit a portion of the taxes while maintaining his own army to guard the frontier. Land reclaimed near the Forbidden Zone could be incorporated into the territory without royal approval, and the Earl also had the power to appoint vassals. Factions were splitting based on their stances. So keep a close eye on those relatives who seize power while I'm away. They'll stop at nothing to grab control. Shouldn't we communicate with them directly? Philip watched their excitement with cold detachment as the crowd outside glanced at him in panic. Philip spoke coldly, apologizing for interrupting them. Holding the document in his hand, he said, I just contacted Earl Quan, and I will now relay his decree. Philip reminded them to pay attention to the screen as Dylan's image appeared. He announced, People of Comfort Fortress, I sincerely apologize for this delay. I am Earl Quan Dylan. I thank all citizens for their dedication and duty during this turmoil. Additionally, I will announce several decisions made during the meeting. First, from this moment on, all gates of Comfort Fortress will be sealed. No one may enter or leave. Second, I appoint Knight Commander Warren as the temporary commander of the fortress. All military forces within the city must obey his orders. This order remains in effect until the arrival of the Supreme Commander or my forces. Be warned, any violation will be punished under martial law. Philip concluded the assembly, that is all. The orders have been delivered. You are dismissed. Isaac stood in the distance, his expression dark, as whispers murmured around him. He pressed his lips tightly, suppressing his dissatisfaction with the orders. Philip silently prayed they would comply and withdraw. Seeing Isaac's expression, he realized the situation was precarious. But if it were truly so, this conflict would never have begun. Night fell, and the estate grew quiet. During a meeting led by Isaac, a group of people were discussing their plans. A tall man asked, Have you located the Legion's current position? DeWinkie, the Chain Knight and Guard commander, confirmed, Of course. The Earl's central forces are stationed in the inner city. Additionally, 2 outer walls are manned by sentries, while the Silver Bear Knight Order guards the outer gates. Carlo White, the captain of the guard, remarked, Their forces concentrated in the inner city actually works in our favor. The man asked curiously, Who ordered the Silver Bear Knight Order to patrol outside? Daiwante replied, I believe it was the temporary commander, Waylon, after consulting with the Knight Order. Isaac asked Lama, the Chain Knight Order's vice-commander currently in disguise. Is that the situation? Any issues? He answered, If it's the Silver Bear Knight Order, no problem. We've already won over some of them, and clearing out the stragglers won't be difficult. He mused to himself that the Chain Knight Order was a reserve force awaiting formal knight status. Despite being nominally a training corps, they were tasked with guarding Comfort Fortress, the capital, and other key locations. In other words, aside from the regular knights, all other forces are already under our control. Isaac assigned tasks, good. The Silver Bear Knight Order will be handled by Carlo, Lama, and the Chain Knight Order. Another person interjected, But who can guarantee it's safe to abandon the inner city? If we can't hold the estate, won't everything be for nothing? He clarified his intent, We are not here to start a civil war. As long as the Count doesn't enter the city, establishing a legitimate claim won't be difficult. The Count is currently leading hundreds of knights here, and if they force their way in, seizing the manor would be all too easy. The other two agreed, saying that if everything goes according to plan, we can take key figures' relatives in the territory as hostages. Someone nearby countered, saying that if we do that, the Central Army and elite knights won't be able to intervene. The man showed no fear, stating that once the situation turns in our favor, the surrounding lords will have no reason to support them. Isaac excitedly announced, Prepare now, for soon. The true master of this territory, Count de Tang, will arrive. They ended the meeting and left the room, and the last person to leave glanced back at the traitors' retreating figures. The corners of his mouth curled into a smug smile as he watched them fall into the trap. In the study, someone came rushing in. He pushed the door open and shouted, Urgent report. Inside the room were Warren, Philip, and Carlo. Warren asked, What happened? The man reported that it appeared a coup had taken place tonight. He explained that just now, a bloodied Silver Bear Knight appeared at the inner gate. He said several Silver Bear Knights and traitors had already taken control of all outer defenses. Carlo and Philip let out a sigh of relief upon hearing the news. He shouted angrily, What a disgrace! How dare they tarnish the name of the Silver Bear Knights? Philip calmly asked, What about Captain Huai of the Guard? The man replied that he seemed to have sided with the traitors. After the news spread, he left, saying he would assess the situation, but hasn't returned since. Warren sighed in resignation, saying that around noon, Lady Jaden would arrive. Carlo growled impatiently, I'll go kill those traitors, blast them, I'll cut them all down. We must break through at least one gate before more join them and break the siege. Philip, far calmer than the other two, shouted, Stop. Warren understood his meaning, our top priority is to protect the family of Lady Aston. Under these circumstances, we cannot launch a reckless attack. He stressed that if we fall into another ambush, the situation will spiral out of control. Philip agreed, saying, "The commander is right. If the battle continues outside the castle, both soldiers and civilians will suffer." Carlo retorted, "Then what do you plan to do? Are we just going to stand by and watch the family's army charge in?" A familiar voice came from behind, "Of course not." Dushi arrived just in time, his footsteps echoing. A subordinate beside him asked in surprise, "Count Raoul, how did you get here?" He reassured them, "You've all done enough." Dushi entered the room, exuding confidence. He revealed, "I've come to tell you how to resolve the current situation." The next morning, outside Comfort Castle, the Silver Bear Knights had been arrested. Dia stepped forward, followed by Isaac and a member of the Holland squad. "Captain of the guard, you've arrived." He asked, "How is the situation?" The man replied, "You must see it for yourself to understand. Do you observe the entire estate through a telescope?" His eyes widened, and his expression turned grave. Isaac asked worriedly, "Is there a problem? Do you grew suspicious? Why is it so quiet at a time like this?" Jia said casually, "Maybe they've already sensed something." "Isn't that normal? Perhaps the interim commander, Wei Lin, is hesitating. Clearly, he lacks confidence in his own judgment." He replied, "I hope that's all it is." Yet deep down, he felt uneasy. It was too strange. Even if they were being cautious, shouldn't they have sent an envoy to test our stance? What are they planning? Are they trying to provoke a conflict directly? They wouldn't make such a foolish decision. We have hundreds of knights here. They can't stand against us, not even in political maneuvering. The outcome would be the same. Even if Dylan is the rightful heir, he can't compare to the seasoned baron. He sneered inwardly. What a shame, Earl Melvin. If you were still alive, you'd never make such a decision. Suddenly, a magical screen appeared in the central area, and someone warned. Something has appeared. Dao Xuan's figure appeared, looking very serious. Dao Xuan asked, "Everyone, can you hear me clearly?" Seeing him, Wei had a bad feeling. Lower Aston. Just then, in the command room, Dao Xuan began, "There's a way to resolve the current situation." Wei Yun was worried but helpless. "The situation is too unfavorable for us now. If a fight breaks out inside the castle, you deny it?" "No, there won't be any fighting." Dao Xuan analyzed the situation. "In reality, it's not as dire as we imagined. Most of the guards are just following the commander's orders on the outskirts." Upon hearing this, he blurted out in surprise, "What?" He continued, "Only a few loyal knights and nobles are controlling the gates and subduing the knights. Most of the guards don't even know what they're doing." Dao Xuan emphasized, "We just need to awaken their awareness." Now, he declared, "Therefore, Count Aston urges everyone not to shed blood in vain. Your duty is to protect your families and neighbors, not to raise swords against your comrades. So, don't let a few shameless traitors sway you." After hearing this, Isaac angrily slammed the castle wall. He panicked and ordered, "Damn it! Stop that broadcast immediately." Isaac fell silent as he saw the soldiers on the walls beginning to waver. Finally, he realized, he's trying to brand us as shameless traitors. If this continues, we'll lose control. Dao Xuan continued, "I, Raoul J. Aston, promise all those standing on this bloodstained battlefield that any soldier forced to participate in this rebellion will not be punished." Isaac lost his composure and roared, "Don't believe him, it's all lies. The real rebels are the ones occupying the inner keep." Those who heard fell silent, their hearts torn with doubt. Wei realized the situation was no longer turning in their favor. Confident as he was, they still held the gate, and time was on their side. All they had to do was hold out until Lord Nanju's reinforcements arrived. These petty tricks won't work. He doesn't have the strength to take this place back. At the city gate, a cavalry unit led by Talanian had arrived. The guards followed protocol, presenting their credentials. He replied, "I heard about the situation on the broadcast. I'm here to help crush the rebels." Another man ran up, "I'm Zenith Talon. I want to join the suppression forces." More and more people arrived to lend support. "I heard some fools dared to rebel against the Count, so I came to see the show." After receiving the news, Julin was stunned. Good heavens, over 2,000 reinforcements have already gathered inside the keep. He had no choice but to believe everything was unfolding as Lord Raoul had predicted. On Isaac's side, others began to waver. "Did you see the troops assembling inside the keep? Are we really going to turn on each other? I had nothing to do with this. I was just following orders." They dropped their weapons and turned to flee, ignoring their commander's shouts behind them. "Guards, come back. This is outright insubordination." They bolted straight for the city gate. Heavy footsteps echoed from the manor, blades already drawn. A battle cry rang out, "Crush those who dare rebel against the Count." The two masterminds hadn't expected their opponents to make such a move. The man asked anxiously, Lord Dewey, what should we do? We can't fight such a large suppression force, but Lord Nanju's reinforcements will arrive soon. Dewey fell silent, as if about to make a grave decision, while the rest stood ready. He gave the order, have the archers prepare fire arrows, and gather the quickest men with oil and flame. Isaac urged, Lord Dewey, you must think more rationally. Beneath our feet lies an entire district of homes. If we set fire here. Dewey cut him off. I'm more clear-headed than anyone right now. He decided to go all in. Since we've already been branded as traitors, what's left to hesitate about? Inside their homes, civilians whispered, Mom, what's happening outside? The mother signaled for the child to stay quiet. The flames engulfed the buildings, sending people fleeing in panic. Dewey had achieved his goal. If we destroy the gate and burn the streets, we'll at least buy more time. With things at this point, Isaac had no choice but to decide. He continued, no matter what, if we lose, we're doomed. At this stage, we can only fight to our last breath. The man worried, but if the fire spreads, we will lose the support of the neutral nobles. Dewey couldn't be bothered to think about it. We're about to die, does any of that even matter? In this chaos, who would care about the common folk knowing who started the fire? We'll explain this later. Our top priority is to rendezvous with Lord Yatten of the South. Isaac straightened his posture, having no further arguments. He agreed. I'll order the soldiers to act as you command. Dewey praised, good. Isaac was surprised by the sudden intruder. He greeted, Lord Lama of the South, you've arrived just in time. We could use your help. Isaac commanded, have a few knights bring oil and set the streets ablaze. That hand gripped the sword hilt, ready to draw. As he was outlining the plan to sabotage the city gates and strike amid the chaos, the sword pierced his chest. Dewey was startled by the sudden turn of events. The king often said, this is disgusting. I can't take it anymore. After hearing just a few words, my ears are already sore. Isaac clutched his wounded shoulder and asked, what's going on? Behind him, a group of knights had arrived. He bent down to examine the man. Then he ordered, knights, arrest all the rebels here. A battle raged at the city gates as Dewey charged at him with his sword. Shu watched his every move warily as their blades clashed, sparks flying. Dewey found it laughable. Betrayal? Shu sneered, don't make me laugh. Who's the real traitor here? Finally, he revealed the truth. You're not Lama. Dewey scoffed, do you think I wouldn't recognize my own subordinate after working with him for years? Shu was forced to retreat. Dewey was simply too strong. He laughed. Who knows? But if someone claims to be, it's too late to realize now. A burst of light struck from behind Dewey. He quickly blocked the attack with his sword. Dewey's hands began to tremble. Who would strike so recklessly? Jack had returned. He asked with amusement, still standing, huh? He greeted, long time no see, elder. Should I call you traitor now? Dewey was speechless, fear rising in his heart. You. Jack mocked, ever since you left the Golden Bear Knights, your mind's been off. Doing things you never dared in 10 years. He felt Jack's power and was stunned. When did this guy get so strong? 2 years ago, I could still overpower him easily. Shu reverted to his true form and asked curiously, you two know each other? Jack confirmed, more or less. He clarified, but we're not on friendly terms. The rebels were tightly bound as they cleared the area. Dewey suddenly burst into manic laughter. He said darkly, if you're here, that means Raoul is too. Being led around by a brat, how pathetic. Shu couldn't take it anymore. Watch your words when you mention the young master. Jack let his fists do the talking. One punch landed squarely on the arrogant man's face, blood gushing from his nose and mouth. The man staggered back, and 2 others stepped forward to check on him. Jack reported excitedly, the rebel forces occupying the outer territories have been subdued, young master. Daoshuan ordered, well done. Lock them all in the castle dungeons and post guards at the residences of the involved families. Yes, young master, he replied. Weiluan also reported, young master, we've arrested all the nobles and knights involved in the rebellion. Excellent, he praised. The evidence is irrefutable, they can't deny it. He mused inwardly, with this, the scum within the family has been purged. Now, only one uninvited guest was on their way. Daoshuan asked, where is the Southern Baron now? He'll arrive within the hour, he answered. He stood up. It's time to prepare. Kaluo suddenly called out to Daoshuan as he was about to leave. Young master. I have one request, I want to accompany the Southern Baron. He glanced at the man, Kaluo, the Southern Baron and commander of the Silver Bear Knights. During the earlier attack, there had been casualties, and some traitors had joined the rebellion. It seemed he wanted to take responsibility for it. Philip interjected from behind, how do you plan to handle this? Dao Xuan replied, for now, we should at least attempt negotiations. After all, by blood, he is still your uncle. He probed, what if they launch a desperate attack? Dao Xuan couldn't help but chuckle at the blunt question. Jiden's forces were steadily approaching the castle. He reined in his horse and observed silently. Jiden's expression grew grim. They're about to attack. Dao Xuan continued, then we'll crush them without mercy. Jiden and his men halted at a distance from the castle. The fortress ahead remained eerily calm before the storm. He asked, still no contact? Tai reported, the last communication was 2 hours ago. On the bright side, the battle must be fierce, they haven't had time to send a message via the magic crystal ball. Titus agreed, Tai is right. Father, even the worst army couldn't hold the outer perimeter for 2 or 3 hours, could they? No matter how bad things are, they'll have taken heavy losses in their infighting. Jiden relaxed his guard. True. Suddenly, Tai's horse reared up. He turned to Jiden in confusion. What's happening? The portcullis lifted, and Warren emerged with his knights. He introduced himself, I am Warren, interim commander of Fort Castle. From now on, no one enters without permission. Leave at once. Jiden's side was stunned by his declaration. He remarked, your determination to defend the castle is admirable, but it's not wise. I came here to protect my sick and frail family and this castle. As someone who doesn't belong to the Count's family, what right do you have to block my way? Waylon replies, letting me make it clear, the Count has ordered that no one may enter without permission. He warns the other party to stop insinuating and leave immediately. The man roars furiously, who do you think you are, ordering me to stay or go? Shut up and open the gate. Waylon draws his sword, ready for battle. Du Shixun arrives as well. I apologize, but you cannot enter the Count's castle, Baron Yarden. The man frowns, sensing something amiss, and asks, and you are? He replies calmly, this is our first meeting. Raoul J. Aston, the Count's third son and current acting lord of Comfort Castle. Yarden is inwardly shocked. That deceitful scoundrel, won't he return to his own territory? He puts on the airs of an elder, clearly not learning respect from your father. After the rebuke, Du Shixun bursts into laughter. He says coldly, if you want to be respected as an elder, you shouldn't have betrayed the family. Your name has been erased from the family records. What are you still doing here? Stung by Du Shixun's words, Yarden is left speechless. He turns and takes a document from Waylon. Du Shixun opens it and begins reading the names, Baron Gerald, Baron Esteban, Baron Kian, Baron Amos, Baron June. Those named are all stunned. He declares that those named are guilty of rebellion, bringing in outside forces and mobilizing troops. In the name of Dylan Zay Aston, the Count, I order those named to disband immediately. One of them explains, Lord Raoul, this is clearly a misunderstanding. I'm merely escorting the Lord's brother. Rebellion? How ridiculous. Du Shixun's expression darkens as he warns, if you're innocent, prove it at the Count's castle. If you don't want this to escalate, leave now. The man has no rebuttal and scoffs coldly. Zay Aston suddenly bursts into inexplicable laughter. He chuckles heartily. This is refreshing. Since neither side is willing to back down, this won't end easily. Let me make a suggestion. How about settling this with a 5-on-5 nightly duel today? Sounds good, right? Du Shixun is well aware of this tradition, a nightly duel, a way to resolve conflicts that the law cannot. It can be a personal duel or a large-scale military conflict. It's a method of resolving disputes by wagering a knight's honor and accepting the outcome. Waylon scoffs, how dare someone with no honor speak of a nightly duel? He replied, I don't think this is a bad deal for us. If they don't like this approach, then we'll have no choice but to storm you bank here. Because Shishuan remembers the way you looked at that gambler, it's really troublesome. Jack spoke up, wouldn't it be better to just crush and eliminate them? I will lead the vanguard. Think about it. I'd like to do that too, but this isn't a decision to make lightly. Shu advised, it's best to avoid a direct confrontation. Our losses would be devastating. He asked in confusion, what are you talking about? The knights our master has prepared for us outnumber theirs 2-1. He clearly pointed out our side's weakness, we lack the most critical combat strength. All of our knights are clad in reinforced armor. After hearing this, Jack immediately turned his gaze toward the opposing knights. Du Xin understood as well, yes, the problem lies with the reinforced armor. We've gathered some, but the quantity is far from enough to match our current forces. Even if we go to war, the city walls would suffer heavy damage against enemies wearing reinforced armor. Fighting here means accepting such losses. A true battle is one where you choose the time and place. He sighed in resignation. What do you want? He proposed that if we win, my fellow lords and I would be permitted to enter the inner city and pay our respects to the Count. If we lose, we will withdraw quietly. Zedon weighed his options carefully. At this point, we must at least achieve our initial goal to show respect. Only then can we seize future opportunities. Right now, they see us as outsiders, but if Melvin dies, the situation will change completely. We must ensure we have a clear justification to aim for the next count's position. Daoxian silently weighed the pros and cons. He agreed. Very well, then we accept the nightly duel. Seeing the bait had been taken, he smirked inwardly. As expected, Weilon was concerned about Daoxian's decision. Zidane vowed to fight to the end. Today, I will prove beyond doubt that your chosen path is wrong, he replied. Very well, we accept the terms of the nightly duel. He ordered Jia. Alright, let's begin negotiations. The man stepped forward and said, according to continental law, the nightly duel will follow a best-of-5 format. The first side to win 3 rounds will be declared the victor. A round ends when one side is unable to fight or surrenders. Do you agree? Daoxian was all in. No objections. Seeing his agreement, Jia smiled faintly. Very well. He announced, the match will take place in 30 minutes on the plains outside the castle. Both sides, please prepare and gather at the castle gates. Zidane grinned smugly, as if victory were already in his grasp. Let our Golden Bear Knight Order take the lead. Carlo chimed in, the Silver Bear Knight Order is also full of confidence. Another interjected, apologies for interrupting. Could the Chain Knight Order also have a chance to contribute? To boost the morale of the reserve knights who will one day become pillars of our order. Daoxian thought to himself, everyone is so confident. As knights who value honor, they naturally wish to step forward in such circumstances. However, Jack shouted, Master, I request permission to handle this. I will personally crush those traitors. He refused. Jack was taken aback. Huh? Why not? Daoxian thought to himself, strictly speaking, the Second Knight Order. The only force Jack belongs to is his own personal army. For such a serious incident, it's best to let the Count's forces handle it to avoid getting entangled in tense situations. To solidify control over the entire region, we must demonstrate the Count's family's decisive resolve. If someone like the Lord of Calypso Forest Castle declares independence at a time like this, it's not a good sign. Stroking his chin in thought, he mused, who should we send? Someone approached from behind and called out, Baron Raoul. Daoxian turned around upon hearing the voice to see who it was, pausing for a moment before asking, you are? Meanwhile, inside Baron Zaiden's military camp. Tate joked, the situation escalated, but the outcome was great, never thought they'd so easily accept a nightly duel. Scary as it seems, they're just a bunch of hot-headed youngsters at the end of the day. Even Zaiden was overjoyed, no longer worried in the slightest. Confidently, he declared, they're just a nightly order from some remote village. How could they possibly defeat my Black Bear Knights, trained for 15 years? Right? With that, Zaiden glanced at the man. Luciano, commander of the Black Bear Knights, was brimming with confidence. Of course, we have no reason to lose to those sluggards clinging to outdated swordplay. His outdated swordsmanship has been exposed for all to see. Not to mention, we know nothing about them. The outcome of this match is already decided. Graham entered, saying, this time, I want to go out there myself. Zaiden agreed, if you want to go, I welcome it. How odd, he's suddenly so eager. Graham, from the Broadan family of the Delanian Republic, replied, it's been boring just following along anyway. I want to experience firsthand the legendary greatsword techniques the Reuben Kingdom prides itself on. Titus was displeased upon hearing this. Zidine's expression darkened, this fool wanted to claim the senior's sword techniques after just sparring with his men. Coldly, he said, then let him handle it. Alright, go finish them off. Zidine didn't care, those fools from the main family would meet their end here anyway. No matter who steps up, I'll crush them. As both sides gathered at the agreed location, an announcement rang out. The nightly duel is about to begin. Both sides stepped forward. Luciano strode onto the field, arrogantly shouldering his sword, while the opposing side sent out Cien. Seeing him appear, Luciano laughed so hard he nearly cried. Is the Count's family out of people? Dragging a retired old man here? Cien smiled and reminded him, you sure talk loud, but you haven't changed a bit since 16 years ago, have you? The man was left speechless. This old man sure talks a lot. Daoxian folded his arms, observing the situation on their side. The host stood in the center, raising his hand, and as his arm fell, he shouted loudly. Everyone, ready! The first match begins. Luciano's body surged with crimson energy as he unleashed a sword strike like a raging storm toward his opponent. Meanwhile, Cien hadn't even drawn his sword yet. When the attack came, he swiftly dodged the danger. Cien walked up to the man and asked, what are you doing? Luciano, are you really going to fight an old man who's nearly at death's door? Luciano didn't answer, instead responding with another sword swing. Cien continued to dodge the attacks effortlessly, as if merely taking a stroll. You still haven't broken your habit of wildly swinging your sword whenever you're provoked. After being insulted, the man lost his composure and shouted, "Shut up, old man. I'll personally shatter your boring count's sword technique." The tip of his sword pointed at Xian, ready to thrust. Though Xian's eyes were closed, he could still sense it. This was. His hand tightened around the hilt, preparing to counter as Luciano charged wildly with his sword. Xian calmly swung his sword, its blade covered in a golden energy, suppressing the opponent's violent force and triggering an explosion. At this point, Xian had minor bruises and was covered in dirt. He taunted, "That's right, you're learning fast. Are you copying the sword techniques from the Brennan Republic?" This piqued Xian's interest. It had been so long since he felt this sensation. He grew excited, energy surging, the long-lost thrill of battle coursing through him. Dao Xuan was satisfied that everything was still going according to plan. Beneath Xian's feet, a formation appeared, its outline glowing brightly. Luciano noticed that his own magical flow had already shifted. How can a retired old man be this strong? He rushed forward, and the two engaged in a flurry of offense and defense. Xian steadily pushed his opponent back. He felt his body becoming lighter, as if he had returned to his prime. Xian immediately thought of him. This must be the blessing of the divine saint. Earlier, he had suggested, "Baron Raoul, may I take the field?" Dao Xuan was surprised by his appearance. "Lord Xian." Xian approached him to discuss the match. He was well aware that the other side would surely send someone familiar with the count's sword technique. In that case, the knights charging head-on would surely fall to their counterattacks. An old man like me might just come in handy. Dao Xuan considered this. Lord Xian was the former vice-captain of the Golden Bear Knights, a top-tier master knight who had appeared in the Kingdom League and tournaments many times. In unpredictable circumstances, his skills were the best choice. He finally settled on the participants. Very well. At the time, Valen had worried, "I'm not doubting Lord Xian's swordsmanship, but he's been retired for years, and his magical power isn't what it used to be. Is this really okay?" As Qiang stood alone, he gripped the sharp sword that had accompanied him through years of battles. He slowly drew the blade from its sheath. The edge gleamed with a cold, sharp light. Qiang sensed Duishi Hong approaching from behind and calling out, "Lord Qiang." He politely asked, "May I have a moment of your time?" Qiang sheathed his sword. "Of course. What can I do for you?" Duishi Hong activated his holy light, golden energy swirling around him. Qiang was momentarily stunned by the radiance, the energy coursing through his body. He exclaimed in surprise, "The pain that has tormented me for years is gone. Not just my body, my mind feels incredibly at ease. How could something so absurd happen?" So, the young master really had received the blessings of the gods and awakened. As the two engaged in a swordplay duel, Duoshi Hong mused to himself that Lord Qian truly believed this was a divine blessing. But in truth, it was just my holy light, with a little help from Lavina's effects. Since Lord Qian isn't a guild member, the effect might be slightly weaker. But every strike of his sword brims with immense power. Luciano barely managed to block with his sword, but he couldn't fully defend himself, and the sword energy slashed his body, drawing blood. He thought to himself that this should be enough. Overwhelmed, Luciano lashed out. "You wretched old man." Qiang sneered, "Is this all you've got? It seems you've given it your all." Furious, he snapped, "What nonsense are you spouting, old man?" Qiang reminded him, "Place your hand over your heart and think carefully. It's been 16 years since you left the Count's estate. Have you truly lived as grandly as you did back then?" Luciano gritted his teeth, momentarily speechless. He cursed inwardly, "Damn it, don't mock me. I'm sure I've lived a more meaningful life than rotting in this backwater, slaying monsters." He recalled his days serving Jiden, firmly believing he had lived a more purposeful life. The mere thought of his time at the Count's estate made him sick. Endless training, being sent to the Forbidden Zone without rest, constantly battling monsters. Even after risking his life to protect the territory under harsh conditions, he had never received the rewards he deserved. This only reinforced his belief that his choices were right. The humiliation enraged him almost to the point of madness. A gust of wind struck, forcing Jiden to steady himself with his sword. Luciano unleashed his full strength, declaring, "I was not wrong." Everyone present was stunned. Jiden realized that Baron Raoul had been right. Earlier, Duishi Hong had warned, "Lord Jiden, though you've received a blessing, you must still be cautious. Your opponent must be hiding an ace up their sleeve, something they might use as a last resort when cornered. Never let your guard down. The moment will come." He was stunned. Our trump card was the Emperor's tattoo. Never would he have imagined someone would dare touch this forbidden matter. Luciano declared, "I will end you in a single breath." Weilon worried, "Baron Raoul, if this continues, Lord Xian may be in danger." The man slashed at Xian, but he quickly retreated to dodge the strike. Xian realized the power he felt was on an entirely different level. By burning his life force and magic, he unleashed such power that it gave him a massive advantage in the brief clash. He steadied himself, silently reminding himself not to waver, his chance would come. That was what Baron Raoul had once told him. Xian raised his longsword, searching for an opening. In an instant, he appeared before Luciano. Dao Xian remained unfazed, brimming with confidence. Xian silently vowed never to betray Baron Raoul's trust. He had to return victorious. Their duel was fierce. So intense that onlookers could barely make out their figures. At the heart of the battle, every slash from Luciano sent debris flying. The debris scattered outward, forcing the watching knights to retreat. Some couldn't dodge in time and had to crouch down. Dao Xian stepped forward, using his power to block all the flying debris. He smiled faintly, his gaze never leaving the battle. He thought to himself, good, I'm starting to see the bigger picture. Then, let's see how this prison break turns out. Just as Luciano pressed his assault and Xian was forced on the defensive, a sudden force enveloped his body. Xian was astonished. What was this sensation? It felt like a gentle breeze at his back, making it effortless to evade attacks. It was as if the goddess of victory herself stood behind him, shielding him. Dao Xian rejoiced inwardly. This was the technique of amplifying heart energy, something he had only used to strengthen himself before. Since it was a mental power based on spiritual energy, applying it to a living being had once been nearly impossible, but not anymore. Now, Xian's body moved with unmatched agility, throwing Luciano's strikes into disarray. His fury grew, his eyes glowing red. It was Xian's turn to counter. He slashed at Luciano. Blood sprayed, and Luciano let out a pained roar. Even now, Luciano refused to accept it. I did nothing wrong. One of his arms had already fallen to the ground. Luciano knelt, clutching his wounded arm. Xian calmly sheathed his sword, gazing at his defeated foe. Jaden stood in shock, unable to believe his trusted ally had fallen. The knights erupted in cheers. Xian, Xian. He had fulfilled his mission, bringing Dao Xian his first victory. He said excitedly, Xian has triumphed in the first duel, honoring the Baron's command. Dao Xian praised, a brilliant duel, Lord Xian. On behalf of the Earl's family, I commend your efforts. Dao Xuan glanced at his opponent, while the crowd around them cheered in celebration. His opponent's face was dark with displeasure, and that attitude pleased him greatly. In his mind, he wondered, now, how do you plan to retaliate? The truce of the Southern Court tournament had ended, and the break was over. The next match was about to begin. The referee's announcement rang out, the second nightly duel. Contestants, take your positions. The next competitor had been waiting for this moment, striding forward with a fierce presence. He announced his name, Carlos A. Aston, commander of the Silver Bear Knights. Graham stepped forward to accept the challenge. Just call me Ting. Carlo blared at his opponent, feeling insulted by such rudeness in a nightly tournament. Honor must be upheld with dignity. How dare a fool challenge the Aston family? The referee intervened, urging both sides to prepare. The match was about to start. Dao Xuan sighed as he recalled the earlier scene. Here we go again. That guy had also insisted on a fair duel. He observed Graham, noting that it had been a while since he last saw him. He had been wondering when he would show up. His information read, name, Graham, age 46, level 89, profession, Master Swordsman Knight, affiliated with the Kingdom of Reuben, Brennan Republic, Delamian family. He was curious, this was the same knight who had appeared during the Capital Estate incident. Back then, he had been a formidable opponent. He wondered just how strong Graham had become since then. The two had already begun their battle. Graham wielded dual blades, his demeanor far calmer than his previous opponent. He charged forward aggressively, immediately unleashing the royal sword technique. Carlo swung an arc of sword energy toward Graham, the tip of his blade aimed at his foe. Dao Xuan mused to himself, this was indeed a skill not to be underestimated, but he had full confidence in Carlo's abilities. In terms of skill, he was no slouch either. From the start, Graham was overwhelmed by his opponent. Forced to desperately block countless waves of sword energy. He gritted his teeth. What a display of the kingdom's strongest swordplay. But this would all end here. Seeing his opponent suddenly erupt with abnormal power, Carlo grew cautious. Graham moved at blinding speed, appearing and disappearing at his side. His speed was incredible, nothing like that reckless Luciano who ruined himself. I can perfectly control this power when my dual blades clash with complex accelerated swordplay. The enemy would surely falter. One moment of distraction, and it would be over. Faced with this situation, Carlo could only remain composed and sense the flow. His hand gripped the hilt tightly, waiting for the right moment. Graham spotted Carlo's opening and locked onto his weakness. He launched a surprise attack from behind, or his opponent's flaw was exposed. Graham leaps high into the air, ready to finish him off with a single strike. Regret it in hell. Fool, Carlo sneers. Using such despicable tactics only proves you don't dare face me head-on. A dazzling sword light surges upward, its brilliance illuminating Graham's bewildered expression. The blade strikes him midair, and in an instant, Graham is hit, blood spraying out. The crowd below is stunned. How could Carlo treat him with such disdain? This isn't just underhanded, it's ruining the mood, kid. Graham's body crashes down beside him, motionless. His eyes remain open in death, blood trickling from his lips. His side erupts in cheers. Dao Xuan says proudly, of course. A knight ranked 10th in the current Baron family, how could he fall so easily? Good. Just one more strike. And this final battle will end in a crushing victory for us. Meanwhile, things aren't looking good for Jaden. He furiously hurls the documents in his hands aside. The curses from inside the tent startle the guards outside. Damn it. After venting, he falls silent, struggling to steady his breathing. Jaden grinds his teeth, thinking, damn it, both of the men I sent were utterly defeated. I was supposed to have the advantage. This can't be happening. Two men from the rear step forward. Please, my lord, let me take the field. I will bring back victory. I swear to you, I know the Baron family's sword techniques best. Let me handle the next match. Jaden cuts them off with a roar. Shut up. Even Luciano was easily defeated by the Baron's old man. What do you think you can do? We must win this match. The two fall silent, exchanging uneasy glances. Titus suddenly has an idea. Father, I have a plan. He suggests, how about letting me handle this match? I have a strategy to turn the tide. Jaden weighs his son's proposal in silence. He recalls the string of failures. No matter what, if we lose this match, it's all over. No matter what, we have to change the momentum. Jaden agrees. Fine. Do whatever you want. No matter the means, crush the Baron family for me. Titus replies confidently, of course, father. I won't let you down. On Dao Xuan's side, the group is making final preparations. You've chosen your fighter. Send out Senior Knight Enrique this time. Though it seems, pardon the interruption. Young master, I need you to step outside for a moment. This makes Dao Xuan furrow his brow, suspicion rising. They step outside, their footsteps echoing. He leads them to the city walls. Below, he shouts, I am Titus Dash, personal representative of Baron Jaden and commander of the Black Bear Knights. I have something to say to Raoul Aston of Comfort Castle. Even after being exposed, he kept repeating the same thing. Dohane aloud, go ahead and speak your mind, Titus. He retorted, Raoul Aston, as a member of the Aston family, I challenge your unjust actions. Let us settle this with blades. Dohane sighed and asked, are you the third swordsman under the Southern Jaden Earl? He replied, this is not a formal duel challenge. Just you and me, a sword fight. You interrupted, I refuse. Dohane turned away dismissively, how dare someone without even a formal title challenge me? His plan had failed. Ugh, look at him acting so recklessly, how could he refuse such a duel? The nightly duels are becoming increasingly unfavorable for us. We must break this deadlock at all costs. And for that, Raoul Aston must be rendered unable to fight. Titus taunted, wait. I am the third swordsman, Raoul. If you're not a coward, come and face me with your blade. Is the southern direct line of the Aston family going to flee from a duel out of fear? Annoyed by his persistence, he sighed. Then he turned and said, very well. Since you are the third challenger, the situation is different. I accept your challenge. He smirked inwardly. Finally, he took the bait. Shaun advised, Lord Raoul, are you sure you want to accept this challenge? We already have the advantage. Let another knight handle it. Dusk Sun interjected, I understand your intentions, but it's too dangerous to face him yourself. Dao Xian reassured, it's fine, Lord Shaun. Please trust me with this. He whispered, am I not blessed by the divine? By then, the two had already taken their positions on the dueling grounds. Titus's information appeared in the status window, name, Titus, age, 28, level, 69. Profession, knight proficient in intermediate swordsmanship, affiliation, Reuben Kingdom, Jaden family, Brennan Republic. Potential, grade A strength, 73. Agility, 67, Constitution, 71, Intelligence, 64, Willpower, 68, Magic, 67, Perception, 62. Special skills, Noble Knight Bloodline, grade A, Frontline Instinct, grade A-, Combat Tendency, Strength, grade B. Dao Xian mused, not bad. Under 30 and already at intermediate level. If he activates his tattoo, few his age could defeat him. Titus stared at him in confusion. What is this guy doing? Look at those moves, so arrogant. Even pride should have limits. Just knighted and already so full of himself. But he's only at intermediate level. Even a genius couldn't level up this fast. He's no match for me. What happened next shocked him. He couldn't believe it. Every strike from Daoxian was radiant with holy light. He kept slashing at his opponent with glowing blades. Seeing this, Titus had no choice but to respond cautiously. He was quickly struck by those glowing blades, though his armor protected him. Titus exclaimed in disbelief, "Is he a monster? Does he have hidden strength? I'm at least at advanced level, and now I can't even touch a hair on his head even with my tattoo activated." Soon after, he was knocked to the ground. Jaden was stunned. He hadn't expected his son to lose so quickly. Daoxian walked up to Titus and asked, "The result is clear." He pointed his sword at. "Do you concede on your side?" Titus spits blood. "I have no choice but to admit this. Fine, I accept the outcome. I've lost." Dushuan silently observes his opponent, checking if he has any tricks left. Seeing Titus struggle to stand, he says, "Very well. The nightly duel ends here. We should formally report the surrender to Baron Jaden." The moment he turns away, he blurts out, "We've lost, but..." A surge of murderous intent erupts, sending chills down the onlookers' spines. He tried to ambush Dushuan. "This is the end for you," Dushuan gasps, staring at his opponent in shock. Titus seizes the chance to assassinate Dushuan in revenge. He smirks, thinking, "Farewell, fool. You should have kept your eyes on me until the very end." At this range, unleashing a magic sword would leave even a blocker injured. "This is your karma, unlucky boy." He channels holy light, turning with a terrifying aura. Titus never expected Dushuan to have an ace up his sleeve, leaving him suspended in midair, unable to move. Despite straining until his veins bulged, Titus cries out, "What is this dreadful pressure? My body won't move, what is this?" He fires a beam of light at the man. "How dare you ambush me in a sacred duel? You've got nerve." Dushuan clenches his fist, testing just how much this man can endure. His legs are swiftly crushed, and Titus screams in agony. He collapses to his knees, begging, "My legs. I was wrong. I surrender. I fully concede." Dushuan won't give a traitor a second chance. "It's too late for surrender now. You've defiled the honor of the Earl's family duel. You'll pay with your life." Titus squeezes his eyes shut, wailing in despair. Zedrin can't bear to watch his son be killed and charges forward with his sword. Just as Dushuan is about to strike, he's taken aback. The man has attacked him first, their blades clashing in a shower of sparks. Zedrin lands a strike, halting Dushuan from killing Titus. Xiong is stunned, someone has barged into the duel. Dushuan coldly asks, "Are you resorting to cheating now, Viscount Zedrin?" He has nothing left to lose and decides to go all in. Zedrin roars, "The cheater is you. A mere boy from the Earl's family, one who isn't even the official heir, dares to act as judge and swing his sword." The order of the Earl's domain has completely collapsed. He commands the knights to charge, declaring, "Let me prove here and now who is the true heir to this land." Phil Warren is ready to defend every inch of this territory. He says coldly, "You're mistaken. There's no need to look further. We'll settle this right here." Dushuan announces, "Lord of Caliph City, Raoul J. Aston, I hereby reveal all the crimes of the rebel leader, Viscount Zedrin." He seemed to realize he had fallen into a trap. Zed and Pierce exchanged a glance. "You may now accuse him of conspiring with certain nobles to overthrow Comfort, as well as poisoning and murdering the head of the Aston family, Earl Melvin. Based on these charges, Viscount Zeding and his accomplices will be convicted of treason." The accomplices only then began to panic, denying everything. "Poison? Conspiracy? I never did anything like that." Zeding snapped, "You make accusations without proof, is that it? Without any evidence, you dare spout such nonsense? Who would believe a brat like you?" He replied calmly, "You truly refuse to see reason until the end, my lord. Viscount Zeding, whether you confess or not, the Earl's family will hold you accountable for your crimes." He laughed in outrage, "The Earl's family? By what right do you judge me?" Daoxian answered, "Me? No, you misunderstand." Melvin returned with extraordinary presence, declaring that the true master of this land would now pass judgment. Today's events had already shocked Zeding enough, how could something so absurd happen now? The Lord of Comfort City, Melvin Z. Aston, stepped forward. He announced that from this day forward, all foul schemes against the earldom would be settled here. Before Viscount Zeding arrived, he had received news of his father's condition and rushed to his chambers. Daoxian pushed open the door, his face tense with worry. Nakia whirled around to face the newcomer. She exclaimed, "You're here, young master." He confirmed, "Yes, I heard his condition had improved." Nakia led the way, "This way, please." Melvin's complexion has regained much of its color, and the veins on his body are no longer as pronounced as before. She reported, the external treatment is complete. His condition looks much better, the magical conflict has ceased, and his life is no longer in danger. However, the Earl's magic has completely stagnated. Under normal circumstances, other circulatory systems would show issues, but no symptoms have appeared. Daoxuan felt a surge of unease, blurting out, "What?" Melvin awoke at the sound of his youngest son's voice. "Is that Raoul?" He asked Han, "Father, are you more alert now?" He sat up and said, "I've heard. I heard you and Dylan handled things well." Daoxuan reassured him. Now, Father only needs to focus on recovery and breaking through his current realm. Don't worry about the domain's affairs. Melvin refused. "No, I seem to have hit an insurmountable wall. What I face is a limit unlike any before. Every time I reach that wall, I hear the voice of the divine. The divine voice says, this is as far as you go." Junjun's hands clenched tightly into fists. Melvin mused to himself, there was a time when he believed he could one day overcome that wall, yet now he had lost even the chance to fulfill his family's long-cherished wish with his own hands. It was truly unbearable. But with things as they were, his body could no longer control its own strength. The only choice left was to pass this burden on to his children. Du Shihan asked in a daze, "So you're planning to give up?" He exclaimed in shock, "What? Say that again, swordsman, count of the domain, are you truly going to abandon everything and step away just like that?" "No, Father would never give up." "So stop looking like you've already surrendered everything. This isn't the demeanor a head of a count's family should have." Silenced by Du Shihan's words, he stammered, "Raoul, my child." Unable to hold back, he blurted out, "If it were Father, he would have done it. My child, I will make this a reality." Du Shihan explained, "The only reason Father's magic won't work is because those scoundrels used poison. You encouraged him, Father can't just collapse in despair because of those scoundrels' deceit. Father isn't someone who becomes worthless without magic." These words struck a chord in Melvin. His face darkened as he pondered, then suddenly burst into laughter, startling the two present. He seemed to have broken through his mental barrier. "You're right, my son." This sudden change caught Du Shihan off guard. Melvin continued, "I've let you see me in such a pathetic state." Indeed. Melvin Aston shouldn't be so disheartened. He recalled his past, and in that moment, he forgot that his life was the result of countless hardships and efforts, those very struggles that made him an outstanding swordsman and the head of the Aston family. Melvin asked himself, is this as far as I can go? Is this my fate? He decided to shatter his own limits. If this shackle was destiny, then he would break it. At that moment, Melvin broke through. His body tensed, muscles bulging as energy surged. The entire room was enveloped by the overwhelming power radiating from Melvin. Nakia tried to step forward to stop him. "No, you can't. If you force your magic like this, it could backfire and destroy your magical channels." Daoxian held her back. "Wait." Puzzled, she asked, "Young master, why?" He replied, "Everyone has something more important than life itself. No one understands Father better than you do. And now, Father wants to reclaim what belongs to him." Daoxian turned to Nakia. "Can you set up a barrier here to seal this place off from the outside world?" Respecting the father and son's choice, she could only assist with all her might. "Yes, I can." He then asked Lavena, "Can you help me?" She agreed, "Of course." Daoxian instructed, "Stabilize the magic here and cast supportive spells on my father." Lavena immediately acted. "Leave it to me." As Nakia chanted ancient incantations to erect the barrier, Lavena worked alongside her to contain the overflowing magic. Daoxian wasn't idle either. He looked at his arms, now clad in golden armor. "And me as well. Daoxuan and Cadmus's powers have merged into one." "Just as I expected," he spoke up, "there's definitely a problem." Cadmus confirmed that Melvin is forcing an upgrade. Something is suppressing the Earl's Hall of Magic, causing an imbalance between magic capacity, rank, and physical condition. You ask worriedly, is there a way to fix this? He explains that this isn't a matter of will or skill, an external force doesn't want the Earl to advance to the next stage. Cadmus adds that, yes, it's as if a divine-level entity is interfering. The furniture in the room trembles as Melvin roars, his body straining under the overload. Nakia warns that these are early symptoms of chaos surge. "This is really dangerous, young master. You seem to understand Cadmus's point, so there's a way to counter it." Daoxuan encourages, "Father, the wall before you is a curse. I never doubted you'd be brought down by something so vile. One day, you'll cross it yourself. But the world won't leave us in peace. The Aston family desperately needs Father's strength now. So this time, Father, don't refuse my request. You call out, I'll help you, Father. Break through that cursed wall and fight by my side." The entire room erupts with energy, blue light streaming in through the windows. Everything in the room seems to freeze. Even Daoxuan stands frozen as a red warning panel pops up. It's filled with dense text. Errors. Error, the player is attempting to interfere with a main scenario NPC. Warning, if the main scenario NPC malfunctions, it may cause errors in the entire scenario. Recommendation, players should cease actions immediately. Calculating forced plot correction. Current forced plot may encounter severe errors. The collapse of the Aston family if the current Earl, Melvin, breaks free from his restraints. This may result in the deletion of 3,281 quests related to the player, Raoul. Raoul's influence within the Aston family may significantly decline. For Raoul's sake, please make the right choice. Don't you want to become the true master of the Aston family, with vast lands and a powerful knight order? Please follow the storyline designed specifically for the player. Warning, if the plot error is caused by Raoul's interference, the rewards for 27 completed related quests may be lost. Warning, due to plot interference, the system's restraints may backfire on the player, Raoul. Daoxuan broke free from its control with a roar and vanished instantly, shattering the bulletin board into pieces. He immediately appeared beside Melvin, a blue glow enveloping his entire body. The announcement updated member accepted. Melvin was lifted into the air. Still in the midst of his ascension, Cadenas warned everyone to stay clear of the Count, while Daoxuan quickly grabbed Lavina and retreated to safety. His brother Nakia turned and dashed toward Melvin in the distance, energy surging from his chest. The entire room began to shake violently, objects crashing to the floor. Cadenas marveled in awe. I've witnessed the birth of countless experts, but this is the first time I've seen such a powerful backlash. This is because the realm he should have reached long ago was suppressed for too long. Philip burst in and asked, "My lord, are you alright?" Daoxuan urgently called out, "Lord Philip." He ordered, "Everyone, get down and stay away from this room. The Count is challenging a new realm." Philip, sensing the terrifying power, replied, "Understood." Daoxuan asked Nakia, "How's the barrier coming along?" She answered, "I've set one up in the center of the room. It's not very stable, but it won't affect the entire estate." Lavina reported, "Let me handle the barrier around the estate. I can fully control it. The barrier is no longer a concern." Daoxuan watched Melvin's ascension process. His hands clenched tightly, waiting in silence. The announcement read, "Don't you want to become the true master of the Ashton family? With vast territories and a powerful knight order, why not follow the script designed for players? Warning, if interference from player Raoul causes the script to fail, the rewards for the 27 completed related tasks in this script may be revoked." He snapped in frustration, "I'm tired of being led around by someone else's script." His ascension was nearly complete. He vowed to himself, "From now on, I'll write my own story." The room fell silent again, though the aftermath of the chaos was visible from the windows to the floor. The energy around Melvin had stabilized. Daoxuan asked with concern, "Father, are you alright?" His aura was so intimidating that everyone hesitated to approach. He waited for Melvin, still feeling uneasy. He couldn't believe it, his father had finally done it. The family's long-held wish had been fulfilled by his father at last. Melvin clenched his fists, celebrating his breakthrough. He exclaimed excitedly, "Today has finally come. Father achieved this with his own hands. Raoul, none of this would have been possible without you." Daoxuan beamed with joy, "Congratulations on your breakthrough, father. You've worked so hard." Nakia was stunned. How could this happen? Philip was overjoyed. "Congratulations, Count." Relatives and friends came to visit Melvin, who had survived a great disaster. He mused to himself, believing that his insistence on breaking through the final realm alone was nothing but foolish stubbornness. "I thought I was alone, but that wasn't true. I foolishly believed this was something I had to do by myself." Melvin had people he needed to protect and colleagues who had always stood by his side. He also had his 2 sons, loyal subordinates, and a family he deeply loved, people he realized he had to safeguard. Melvin glanced at Dao Xian, who was laughing brightly like a child. "Roan, I owe this kid another favor." Seeing the system panel turn red and display the main scene NPC information, his expression darkened. Earl Melvin Z. Ashton resisted the forced command and joined the first guild. System settings conflict detected. An error occurred. The forced plotline of the Ashton family's collapse has been disabled due to a critical error. All quests related to this plotline are being disabled. Preparing an alternative storyline. Warning, karmic retribution may still descend upon player Roan at any time in any form. Dao Xian accepted it. Karmic retribution? This was the first time I'd heard the term. It made sense, since I'd never done anything like this before. Forced scene players cannot interfere. NPCs assigned to such scenes follow commands as if guided by a higher power. Characters have helped players advance the plot before, but no one has ever joined a player's guild. That's why, in a past life, I chose to eliminate rather than recruit to complete the quest. Roan's existence is undoubtedly becoming a variable here. I worry about what obstacles this might create. Melvin's decision to descend the mountain shocked him. Nakia tried to dissuade him with concern. He reassured her, "Father, you don't have to force yourself. My brother and I can handle this on our own." Melvin gently ruffled his hair, smiling warmly. "I'm sorry for worrying you, son." "Thank you." Melvin knew his son had been through a lot lately, enduring hardships with an unworthy father like him. "I hope you'll stay by my side and witness the end of all this." "You'll agree, won't you?" Dao Xian pressed his lips together, too moved to speak. He recalled the earlier warning. Warning, player Raoul forcibly interfered with a forced plotline. System-enforced karmic retribution has been activated. Warning, karmic retribution may still descend upon player Raoul at any time in any form. He wondered what form the retribution would take. But he believed accepting it was worth it. He wouldn't regret it. He agreed. "Of course, father." Meanwhile, Melvin quietly made his way beneath the temple. He couldn't believe his eyes. Rumor had it you were on the brink of death, yet here you stand, perfectly healthy. "Are you bringing shame to the family with this deception?" He sneered. "You haven't changed a bit, still so immature. I heard you were living comfortably in another country. What brings you all this way now?" The moment the truth was exposed, his face turned ashen. Seething with envy, he spat, "Drop the pitiful act. Don't forget everything you have was handed to you by me. And how do you repay that? With ingratitude, and now you dare blame me? Have you lost your mind?" Melvin calmly gave orders to the attendant. "All right, let's go in. Alonso will lead the way." Alonso, bishop of the Xenon Church, and Kalisa, a 6th-rank mage of the Mages Guild. He began. According to the investigations by the Xenon Church and the Mages Guild, the Count's sudden collapse was no accident, it was a clear assassination. Nakia, project the screen. These are the results we obtained during the Count's treatment. The Count suffered from a disease known as mana silkworm disease, a method commonly used by the Empire. By Du Sun's orders, bring them in. These are the servants and guards involved in this operation. You claim we have obtained key evidence. Du Sen replied with a flash of his sword, coldly staring at one of them. Not just a witness, but an accomplice, even the mastermind. "So, what were you saying just now?" Trembling all over, the man said, "We were just following orders. We were only told to mix a pre-measured dose into the Count's food." He pressed further, "Who gave the order?" The man immediately revealed the mastermind, Baron Dighton. He burst into laughter. "I see. Now I understand everything. So it was all you're doing, my dear brother. To completely eliminate me as a threat to you." Dighton struck first. "You deceived everyone, even used me. I will never forgive you, Melvin." He raised his sword to block the attack. Melvin watched his raging opponent calmly. Dighton's laughter turned manic. "Yes, that look, that expression, that attitude, so condescending. As if you were superior to everyone else." He began to lose his composure. "Decades have passed. Yet I never forgot how you took everything from me as if it were your right. While I was left with nothing. Without you, all of this would have been mine." Melvin replied, "I can't listen to this anymore. This ends now. I no longer see you as my brother. Baron Dighton, I sentence you for rebellion and the attempted murder of the Count's domain." He scoffed, "Don't make me laugh. Who do you think you are, daring to speak to me like this?" Melvin gave him no further chance to speak, preparing to strike. Dighton was shocked by the surge of energy. "What is this? The pressure from this mana is suffocating." The mana surged toward him like a storm. Facing this, he barely managed to resist. His hands trembled. "This level of power, it can't possibly be." Melvin raised his long sword, his expression dark and his presence terrifying. Finally, Dighton recognized it as the level of a grand swordmaster. Just as he realized the truth, the overwhelming pressure struck. Melvin's sword split the earth in two, sending dust flying. Dighton remained frozen in the stance of blocking the blow. His internal injuries were severe, and he coughed up blood. Dang Dai mused to himself, "Damn, has he already broken through to the expert realm? Something feels off, very off. I refuse to let this end like this. I've endured countless hardships to get where I am today." Dang Dai wildly swung his sword. "Melvin, that bastard!" His swordlight transformed into a ferocious beast, snarling as it lunged at him. Melvin calmly controlled his swordplay. The moment the beast pounced, the swordlight cleaved it in two. He clenched his fist and struck at his opponent. Dang Dai stared in shock as Melvin charged toward him. He was now right in front of him. A single punch shattered the longsword in Dang Dai's grip. The next 5 punches landed squarely on his face. Melvin declared, "Up until now, I've been far too lenient with people." He admitted, "Too many have suffered because of my misjudgments. So I must end this farce here and now." Deng Dai found it utterly ridiculous. You want to end this? Melvin, you fool, your so-called justice has blinded you. You can't even see what's right under your feet. That's why you're unfit to be the master of this castle. Do you really think you're the only one? There are countless others beneath your feet, waiting for the day they slit your throat. The brighter the light, the darker the shadows. Melvin, in the end, you'll be consumed by the darkness. Before he could finish speaking, he swung his sword at Melvin's neck. Blood sprayed out as Jiden logged off. Melvin watched coldly, his expression unchanging. Everyone present stood frozen, staring at the scene before them. Jiden's head rolled from his body, and Melvin scoffed. You think something like this could take me down? He taunted, if you've got what it takes, come at me. Melvin Zayaston, master of Comfort Castle, will defend this land to the death. No one responded, only the cheers of the knightly order filled the air. Thanks to you, I've finally protected it. I've saved the Aston family from destruction. After the Earl's civil war in Jiden, the southern barons' purge, the surviving members of the Earl's family were scrambling to restore order. Dylan kicked the door open and stormed in, looking furious, as if someone owed him money. A man screamed in terror, intruders. The man in red sneered, intruders? Don't make me laugh. Who's in charge here? The other man hesitated, what do you mean? Dylan commanded, the southern baron, the master of this castle, isn't here, is he? Bring me whoever's in charge. Don't tell me you don't know who I am. Terrified, the man quickly replied, yes, my lord. Dylan ordered his men, seal off all exits to the castle and command the nobles within the territory to remain in their residences. First squad, follow me to the lord's manor. Squad 2, head to the camp immediately. While the Earl's family was thrown into chaos by internal strife, the Earl's representative, Lauer's elder brother, had already left the territory to reclaim the lands of the nobles who once aided the Southern Marquis in rebellion. You've been busy dealing with traitors within the family, acting in place of your father. Those rebels have already been captured by Waylen. The centipede said with annoyance, traitors are everywhere. Philip explained that since Earl Melvin hadn't taken action immediately after ascending, the discontented began fleeing. You're a little worried, is it really okay to round them all up like this? They're all high-ranking nobles, after all. Philip didn't seem to care. The Earl will be the one to pass judgment anyway. By the time the verdict is announced, we'll be long gone. Daoshi was overjoyed in the study upon receiving the news. Fantastic. Even father would have struggled to reach those seniors. Not to mention the big merchants, brokers, and guild leaders who've been draining the territory. We've already rounded them all up. This would have been impossible at any other time. We must eliminate them completely to prevent future trouble. Now, I'm leaving the Aston family to my brother Dylan and father. This is a necessary step to achieve our goal. Due to the plot changes, many things have shifted, and we've gained a lot. For example, the system notification shows that the task to suppress the Southern Marquis alliance is complete, and the traitor replacement ending has been achieved. Check your rewards, because you completed the traitor ending. A hidden quest, the Aston family's new heir, has been unlocked. You smirked to yourself. I told you I wouldn't become the new heir. Come on, let's see the rewards. This time, Daoshuan received an absolute attribute enhancement potion. S-Rank effect permanently increases any one attribute by 1 point after use. The boost scales based on the user's current absolute attribute value. Your cheeks flush with excitement. Yes, this is exactly the reward I deserve. Each level up requires exponentially more experience, and after reaching the 100-point cap, attributes can no longer be increased, but this potion breaks that limit, allowing attributes to surpass it. Daoshuan opened the system. I never expected breaking a mandatory quest would yield such a generous reward. But this is a pleasant surprise. Let's check the status window, I haven't looked in a while. Your information has been updated. Name, Raoul, level 84 to 99, hard mode. Former profession, Advanced Swordsman Knight, Intermediate Divine Link to Aston Particles. Family, Raoul Carlo Holdhold. First guild attributes, Strength 75 to 80, Agility 79 to 82, Stamina 76 to 81, Intelligence 71 to 77, Willpower 80 to 83, Magic 79 to 82, Soul 82 to 85, Perception 81 to 83. Unique trait, X skill acquisition, Analytical insight of an X-developer. Divine Power X Master +1, Inheritor of Noble Swordsmanship. Player Raoul is the first to reach level 99, and has been awarded the special title Pioneer. Gazing at his hard-earned achievements, Daoshuan smiled with satisfaction. He couldn't wait, it was time to move on to the next stage. In the training grounds of the Purple Guild's branch within the free city of Malachi's top guild, Tianming was diligently practicing his swordplay. He executed the Plum Blossom Path technique, his sword light whirling toward his opponent like a storm. The entire area erupted in a shocking explosion. He was stunned to see his opponent's condition. Ilio stood unscathed amidst the thick smoke. He finally spoke. Ready to call it quits? Ilya declared a change in terms. Now it's my turn. Ilya leaped in front of Tianming, ready to begin a new round of sparring. He swung his sword, unleashing a plum blossom butterfly dance. Ilya sidestepped, having already said not to give such useless names. And yet he still shouts the move's name during attacks. He reminded him, how can you not announce the name of such a refined technique? Tianming retorted, it's a sacred ritual. How could a commoner understand a knight's mindset? Ilya thought to himself, his skills are truly strong, but the moment he picks up a sword, he becomes like this. Black stood at a distance, watching their battle. He asked Shirshuan, would you call this personality or stubbornness? She replied, if it affects combat, isn't that just stubbornness? Ilya created clones during the fight. And soon, he had 4 helpers. Tianming angrily cursed, cheap trick. Using secret techniques again. Ilya responded, you're using traits too. What's the difference? It's not some underhanded move. Black commented, regardless, after the Academy's graduation ceremony, everyone's skills have clearly improved. Yeah, at first I thought they were up to something strange. Shirshuan added, being able to hone our skills in such a great environment is all thanks to that person. He asked in surprise, that person? You mean Daoshuan? Speaking of which, I haven't seen Daoshuan around lately. Yes, I've heard he temporarily left for his second-class advancement, but it's been nearly half a month with no news. She remarked, he's such an elusive figure. Meanwhile, the Fortune Academy Guild was decorating for the celebration banquet. Inside, the executives cheered. With that, the first graduation ceremony of the Fortune Academy Guild comes to a close. May the blessings and glory of the divine accompany all graduating members in their future. Cheers erupted. 5 months had passed since the open beta began. The students, who had trained at the academy for 3 months, looked entirely different from when they first enrolled. To prove this growth, all graduating members had achieved the astonishing feat of entering the top 1,000 rankings. Countless scouts from major guilds are searching for them, so the future of graduating students seems like a path paved with flowers. Those who couldn't participate left in regret, and in the end, they didn't even receive an invitation. Someone following behind asked curiously, there are still so many empty seats. Why not continue recruiting? The biggest reason for their regret was the Redbud Guild. This was a newly established player guild, led by the top-ranked Daoshuan as its president. Not just any student could freely join the Redbud Guild. Only the top-ranked students and carefully selected players received invitations to join. When Ilya's group received the news, they were shocked. What? An invitation to join the guild? Danchin smiled and confirmed, that's right. I think this is an offer too good to refuse. What do you all think? Shirshuan spoke up, this is indeed an offer we should be grateful for. But can we really join without President Daoshuan's approval? After all, he's the founder of the guild. Danchin dismissed the idea. Oh, don't worry about that. Recruiting all of you was Daoshuan's intention. Danchin also called Jean Ely aside. Additionally, Jean Ely, I have an extra offer for you. Daoshuan wants to appoint you as vice president. The other 3 turned to look at him in unison. Ely stammered. How could I take on such an important position? Danchin encouraged him. No need to be so modest. Your skills have been recognized by the academy. You're the second highest graduate, just below Daoshuan, the top student. Not to mention, you've earned Daoshuan's absolute trust. That's reason enough. Ely recalled his memories with Daoshuan from high school. Danchin added, the benefits the Redbud Guild gains from the support of the top guild go without saying. This will greatly benefit the guild's future development. I need everyone's confirmation. So, does everyone agree? Meanwhile, Tianming continued to be pushed back in the fight. Ely stepped forward and extended his hand. At this rate, not only Daoshuan, but even I might have a hard time beating you. Tianming grabbed the outstretched hand and pulled himself up. Just you wait. When my skills reach their peak, will you still be able to say that? Ely chuckled wryly. Either way. Shirshuan stepped forward and commented, Ely has grown a lot. You've already mastered using clones so smoothly? Black picked up the conversation, no wonder he's the vice guild leader. How strong do you plan to become in the future? He replied with a smile, Daoshuan already said. Not to limit yourself within the confines of skills. She noticed and suddenly remembered, have you been unable to contact Daoshuan? Well, you two are so close, Ihue should know. Oh, it's nothing for now. It seems this might take a while longer. Just then, a notification on the screen made all 3 of them overjoyed. The notification read, player Daoshuan has completed their second-class advancement. Congratulations to the first player to achieve this milestone. As a result, the graduation tower has appeared in every free city. Inside the graduation tower, challenges await both combat and non-combat classes. once any class meets the graduation requirements, the movement restrictions between free cities will be lifted, and you'll be able to take on official missions. Note, if you fail the challenge, a cooldown period will apply before you can try again. Recommended challenge level, minimum level 50, after completing the second class advancement. Che Xiong in black said enviously, wow, he finally did it. I can't help but respect him. Tian Ming suddenly turned and walked away. Elio asked, where are you going? He said firmly, I'm going to grind for experience and advance my class. I can't let someone like Daoxian leave me behind. His determination snapped Elio out of her daze. He took off running after Tian Ming. Hey, wait for me. Meanwhile, Mila Square was bustling with activity. People were discussing the situation there. Wow, the First Guild's emblem is everywhere. Most of the shops here are run by the First Guild. Mila, a city with over 100,000 residents, was constantly welcoming new players. Many player-friendly facilities were available, thanks to Lauer's long-term development. Restaurants served food tailored to players' tastes, along with pharmacies, scrapyards, and trendy clothing stores. Most of the city's public facilities were managed by the First Guild. Yet no players found these facilities inconvenient. With benefits far surpassing other places, player satisfaction in the free city of Mila was extremely high, earning rave reviews. Naturally, everyone's attention turned to the graduation tower built here. The heart of the player community. A group of battered players, wrapped in bandages, emerged from the tower. In the distance, two people were whispering. It's been days, and no one's claimed to have passed the tower yet. The other person said, I want to go somewhere beyond Mila too. The dejected players walked by, mocked as members of the Roaring Chariot gang. So confident, yet they still failed. Pathetic, really. Isn't that the remaining guy right there? Someone gasped in awe, it's Lord Duyao. Who's surely going to take first place in this trial. He looked dejected, but word is he's already completed his second rebirth. So why hasn't there been any news? A traveling companion speculated, though I'm not sure either. Could he be deliberately stalling for time? Wouldn't it be more dramatic if he showed up after we've all failed? He retorted indignantly, who do you think you are? Of course something happened. Just then, a muffled thud echoed. Both turned to look at the person sitting at an outdoor restaurant table, wrapped head to toe. The two agreed to leave, forget about that missing guy. Let's hurry and finish our rebirths. That person was Dao Xuan, they recognized him. And he thought he'd been caught eavesdropping. He removed his hat and stood up, saying, very well, as you wish. Let's make our entrance slowly. Dao Xuan strode down the street with his head held high, drawing countless stares. The two gasped, that can't be, isn't that Dao Xuan? A few people gathered around, expressing admiration. Big brother, look over here. I'm your biggest fan. Lavina asked happily from the side, Lauer, you're so popular. Don't you think something's off? They're complimenting you, Lavina. She worriedly asked, is it really okay to leave the Calypso territory unattended like this? If there are any remaining forces, it could spark a territorial war. Dao Xuan reassured her, it's fine. No need to worry about that place. Lavina was curious, this isn't like Lauer at all. How can you be so calm? He replied calmly, because I'm confident there won't be any issues. The Reuben Palace was grand and imposing. Zolas ordered, bring in the lords who sent troops to Calypso. The lords were shoved inside by soldiers. They knelt, and he asked coldly, are you the masterminds behind an unauthorized territorial war? The two explained, it's a misunderstanding, Your Highness. We were coerced by the Viscount. Zolas said sternly, it seems you fear external forces more than the Reuben royal family. He commanded, detain all the lords for now. This matter will be thoroughly investigated and punished. As they were led away, one pleaded, we were wrong. Your Highness, please forgive us. Zolas warned, let everyone here hear this clearly. Calypso is a territory I personally bestowed upon Lauer, who has rendered countless great services. He is both a benefactor of the nation and my dear friend. Attacking him is the same as betraying me. I hope you all understand the gravity of this. On one side of the Trotford graduation tower, massive boulders float in the air. Dao Xuan and Lavina enter the tower together. He couldn't help but sigh, it's been so long since I last came here. She suddenly remembered, oh, you mentioned you've passed through here before, right? Dao Xuan confirmed, yeah, it looks just the same as back then. Lavina looked around in awe, this place is crafted with illusion and spatial magic, it's absolutely brilliant. Even I can't fully master it. A bulletin board displays, welcome, players, to the graduation tower. Here, you can test the results of your training over this period. A blue light scans Dao Xuan's body, and a mechanical voice chimes in, measuring player status. Please wait a moment. The system performs a scan. Recommended exam categories appear, melee, ranged, psychic, magic, summoning, scouting, assassination, and crafting. Lavina gasps. Why are there so many? It must be because of that skill encyclopedia. Daoxuan analyzes calmly, a person can challenge 3 exams. The first one is obvious, psychic. She encourages, Lauer, don't forget we have something we must get this time. He replies, that. I'm not really interested, but I guess there's no choice. Lavina puffs her cheeks in frustration and turns away. You don't need my help right now, right? Call me if you do. Daoxuan doesn't stop her, letting her rest. Left alone, he says excitedly, well then. A mannequin stand appears beside him. Daoxuan rubs his hands together. Let's begin. The NPC's info displays, defeat the instructor, A rank. Objective, overcome the instructor's psychic abilities in the graduation tower. Additional objective, win using only psychic skills. No other skills allowed. Restrictions, both player and instructor are fixed at level 50, with intermediate level 1 skill proficiency. Rewards, random A rank exclusive gear, A rank title, and 50,000 EXP. Extra reward, enhanced exclusive skill. Daoxuan's heart races. The rewards are amazing. He thinks confidently, last time, I didn't get it, but this time, everything will be different. The instructor is lifted into the air by Daoxuan's power. He barely manages to choke out, cough, cough. This is absurd. The instructor's form gradually fades. Congratulations, challenger. May your future be filled with blessings. Daoxuan passes the psychic exam. He moves on to the second exam, melee, clashing swords with the instructor. The instructor swings his sword, unleashing a fiery slash. Daoxuan calmly raises his own sword. His movements are agile, his blade gleaming as he strikes at the instructor. The instructor is defeated, and Daoxuan passes the melee exam. No, he replies, there's nothing inconvenient about it. Daoxuan plastic surgery, one of Rednato's special functions is secret gluttony. You have received a reward, a rank B energy armor, status bound to Raoul, partially unlocked. Currently sealed, with a 1.5x power energy core and a maximum runtime of 5 minutes. Operational mode, auto recharge, defensive formations, 6 harmonies, intermediate attribute sword chi force field, attribute effects reduced by 50%. Description, a replica of the mythical Rednato energy armor. During spacetime traversal, most functions were sealed, and some special abilities mutated. The seal will be lifted upon meeting specific conditions. Special ability, when opposing your own target, punishment effects are increased by 200%. Secret gluttony can absorb lower-tier energy armor and mimic its functions. Daoxuan was secretly delighted it could absorb other low-tier energy armor and replicate their abilities. To fully impersonate Daoxuan, I had it devour an inner layer energy armor and conceal Rednato's appearance. For now, the goal seems achieved, as the instructor didn't recognize my energy armor. Besides, they don't even know the concept of players equipping energy armor. The final notice announced that the third and last exam was coming. You'd have to choose a subject. You chose magic, and I'll face the magic instructor of the graduation tower. Lavina waited for a long time before her turn finally came. She appeared, now it was my turn at last. Lavina couldn't wait, urging me to demonstrate the power inherited from my ancestors, Livelina Elias Meridian. Daoxuan stopped her, saying, wait, Lavina, I have something to say. I've always had a dream, you know? To become a master who can use all kinds of skills. I want to achieve that dream here. Can you give me a chance? Lavina remained silent at the suggestion. She agreed to mentor him and handed Daoxuan a magic wand. Alright, try creating a fireball here, basic fire magic. He gripped the wand, and a fireball appeared. Then slowly faded away. Daoxuan snapped the wand in frustration. Seriously? Is this thing broken? Lavina reminded him, didn't someone once say masters don't blame their tools? She continued, I don't get it. Someone so skilled with swords and superpowers turns into a fool the moment they pick up a wand. He explained, it's not like that. The mechanics of swordplay and superpowers are completely different. Lavina didn't hold back. By the way, Raoul has zero talent for magic, so just give up on mastering it. Daoxuan was disheartened. But I've always dreamed of becoming a master too. You have some reservations, though you've had them before. It's best to let them go now. The final round's examiner appeared beside you and, as per protocol, asked, welcome, challenger. Are you ready to begin the exam? Lavina could no longer just watch from the sidelines, she was bursting with excitement. Come on, let me show you what my long-neglected talents can do, she declared. The examiner chanted, oh, floating flames of arcane power. Answer my call and pierce through my foe. A massive firebolt shot forward, but Lavina swiftly conjured an elemental shield to block it. A violent explosion erupted at the center, followed by a barrage of elemental beams raining down. He countered with a stone wall, and as you watched the glowing boulders from the sidelines, you couldn't help but mutter, that was terrifying. You thought to yourself, asterisk their spellcasting is too fast, I can't keep up. This battle is far more intense than I imagined, asterisk. Then Lavina gathered a fireball and shouted, explode, flame bomb. The examiner summoned a whirlwind to envelop the flames, chanting, oh, heavy winds, surge forth elemental storm. But the fire was too powerful, instantly consuming the storm. His form began to fade as he murmured, I never expected someone to break through my magical defenses. The examiner announced, Master of the Grimoire. I acknowledge you as a true mage. Lavina smirked, lifting her chin in triumph. Thank you, Lavina, you said sincerely. You really went all out for me. She smiled. It was nothing. Daoxian eagerly leaned in. So then, a notification appeared, asterisk congratulations. You have safely passed the graduation exam, asterisk. Do you wish to graduate from the starting city and challenge the true otherworld? You immediately pressed the Z key on the screen. A pillar of light erupted before the two of you. Dazzling fireworks burst above the tower. Outside, people gasped in awe at the sudden display. Daoxian grinned. Now the real game begins. A broadcast announced, congratulations, player. Daoxian is the first to pass the tower of graduation. You have proven to the world that as otherworlders, players, are worthy of becoming the saviors of this realm. From this moment on, the restriction on free movement within the city is lifted. Explore the vast continent of this otherworld to your heart's content. Having proven your worth, players will no longer be protected outside designated areas. Main quest, the advent of the savior has officially begun. Explore the continent and earn merit points for the inhabitants. Back at the headquarters in Seoul, South Korea, an emergency meeting was convened with all core members present. Prime Minister Soo Ji-hyun spoke, this is the current situation across nations, including Korea. While it's too early to draw conclusions, these signs. Rumors say the figure mentioned by the prophet is appearing in various countries. DCEO Group Chairman Xiang Ying continued, I heard the US and China have also raised concerns about this. Are there any specific instructions? Some whispered that government intervention at this point might be too hasty. Another sighed and said, other countries have likely already taken action. Are we being too slow to react? The other retorted, hey, watch your tone. Do you think this is a marketplace? Stop complaining. He slammed the table and snapped, what did I say wrong? In an emergency like this, we should focus on finding solutions. Minister of Science and Technology Jean suddenly interrupted, alright, everyone, calm down. Let me summarize the situation first. He confirmed, ever since the connection network went live, that person's warnings have indeed been coming true. The screen displayed charts. Take a look, recent climate anomalies, extreme heat, and changes in sunspot sizes are increasing at an exponential rate. He expressed concern, true, the greenhouse effect has raised Earth's temperatures, but this rate of increase is beyond predictions. In the past 6 months, since the connection service launched, things have only gotten worse. Soo Ji-hyun took over, that's exactly why I called everyone here. We can't ignore that person's words, not even if there's the slightest chance they're true. This is a matter of national importance. I hope the public pays more attention before the government officially steps in. Chan Yong, who was called out, furrowed his brow. He replied, understood. In this situation, the cost to civilians isn't the priority. But I hope the next meeting will yield more practical and constructive agreements. Soo Ji-hyun responded, thank you for your cooperation. He added, I heard major changes are happening within the connection. If there's any new information, please share it. With that, he ended the call. Chan Yong's expression darkened as he said, come in. When his son entered, he asked proactively, what do you think? Han Shanjin, son of the DC group leader, felt everyone was holding back, their expressions hiding something. Chan Yong confirmed, that's right. We haven't shown all our cards either. What do you think we should do next? He proposed, recruit personnel and send them into the connection realm. This will be the key to our future and our opportunity. He mused to himself, for the sake of our children, we should act sooner rather than later. He's not wrong. Chan Yong called out, secretarially, the other side is waiting for instructions. Yes, Chairman. He ordered, issue the recruitment notice now and assemble a support team. State in the notice that capsules will be provided without limit. Deploy as many people as possible with any extra capsules available. Secretary Lee acknowledged, understood. Chan Yong turned to his son. Shanjin, the other side is waiting. Yes, father? He hinted, you know I hate losing, right? Shanjin forced a smile. Of course. Chan Yong warned, if that person's words are true, then this. Virtue is the key that will determine our future. Don't tarnish DC's reputation. At the Fortune Society branch, you've returned here. Du Xian asked curiously, is this all that's left? Lavina confirmed, MHM. He sighed in frustration, I didn't expect the graduation tower's rewards to be nothing but junk, useless trinkets. Du Xiyun noticed the last one? Then I'll open this final box. Anything would be fine, just give me something useful, please. As the box opened, a dazzling golden light flashed, leaving Lavina in awe. The effect was nothing like before. The item info displayed, Song of the Three Souls, Rarity. Special, S-Rank. Effect, increases spiritual energy recovery speed by 50%. Special effect, can pre-store 3 types of heart energy for use. This necklace is woven from the soul fragments of an ancient heart energy wielder. Under the guidance of the ancient soul, spiritual energy recovery will be enhanced. Additionally, it can store 3 different types of heart energy and activate them automatically when needed or when preset conditions are met. Du Xion took it. This is the kind of item every heart energy cultivator dreams of, a spiritual energy gear. This truly feels like a treasure made just for me. He already had a plan, store ultimate techniques or evasion skills as a safeguard. Lavina called from behind, how much longer are you going to stare at that necklace, Raoul? Du Xiun thought to himself, it's not good to keep someone waiting too long. He tapped the screen. Got it. There's still the most important reward. A notification appeared, additional reward for completing the instructor defeat event quest, can enhance exclusive skill effects. Please choose from the following options. He was filled with anticipation. Finally, the time has come to fulfill a long-held wish. A series of notifications appeared before them. The displayed options included, Infinite Sword Efficiency Boost, Infinite Sword Speed Boost, Melee Weapon Proficiency Boost, Telekinetic Power Strength Boost, and Spellcasting Speed Boost. Du Xian mused, all of these enhance superpower-related skills. I've tried both melee and magic, they all work. But what Lavina wants most is... Suddenly, she shouted from beside him. Ah! A new notification update unlocking part of the seal on the grimoire skill bound to player Du Xiun, she exclaimed excitedly. Found it. Lavina said excitedly, I knew it. I told you it would show up in the options. He agreed, you're right. No one knows the web better than you. Du Xiun selected the option to unseal the grimoire skill. A series of encrypted symbols appeared before her. Lavina stood on the book, surrounded by an aura of energy. The entire space was illuminated by the blue energy radiating from the book. Lavina was gradually completing the process of absorbing the power. Until those characters gradually blurred and vanished. She perked up, feeling a shift in the energy within her. New notification update, Skill Encyclopedia, Epic Tier, Sealed Status. 3/5 connections established. Librarian Ravina is currently perched. The effects and potency of skills improve based on the number and types recorded. Currently recorded skills total 1,573. Additional feature, craft new skill books using recorded skills from the encyclopedia. Furthermore, you can record self-learned skills into the encyclopedia. But crafting skill books requires special materials. Du Xian thought in astonishment, if this is true, doesn't it mean he could turn all his learned skills into skill books? This is practically cheating. She crossed her arms smugly and said, see? I told you listening to me was the right call. Ask Han. Ravina, how do you feel? Any changes? She revealed, yes, I feel my body's form and wings have become much clearer. When the seal is fully lifted, perhaps I can finally break free from these restraints. Du Xian said cheerfully, congratulations. I hope that day comes soon. You seem a little down. Ravina escaping her soul state to reclaim her true body. By then, she'd likely have to say goodbye to the Ravina who's been by her side all this time. Du Xian reflected that from this moment on, everything would differ from what he knew. The world's main storyline was officially beginning, and his life was about to change completely. He reminded himself that while the main plot wouldn't change, he needed to proceed with greater caution. Looking at Ravina beside him, Du Xian felt confident he would never hesitate. He knew himself better than anyone because he understood his own strength better than anyone. Meanwhile, at the desolate northwestern edge of the continent, deep within a shadowy forest, a cave lay at its farthest reaches. A group cautiously entered the cave, only for one of them to be immediately targeted by a wild beast. But someone swiftly drew their sword, and just as the wolf lunged, they struck its back with a single slash. Lauren J. Eisen, the second young master of the Eisen family. Eisen had arrived just in time, striking down the wolf. A knight exhaled in relief and thanked him. Phew, thank you, young Master Lauren. He added kindly. Be careful, the number of monsters has increased since our last scouting mission. Now, on the other side of the wall, the situation was dire. The despairing chasm bordered the lands of the undead lord. From the forbidden mountains, hordes of monsters and undead were surging forth to invade. This had been discovered long ago. No matter how many times they cleared the incoming monsters, they would return as undead hordes to attack the wall again. Exhausted from this endless war of attrition, the command center decided to organize The scouting team was sent to investigate the cause and had to cross to the other side of the wall. Recently, through the scouts, people learned that the giant gate that once plunged the continent into chaos had also appeared on the other side of the wall. The appearance of that gate accelerated the dungeonization process, causing a surge in monster numbers and creating a vicious cycle. The only way to resolve the current situation is to seal all dungeon entrances in the mountains on the other side of the wall. Lauren spoke up, saying that if we fail this mission, we won't be able to withstand the monster attacks and will eventually collapse. The knights understood, and the mages explained that when the dungeonization process began at that gate, the spatial structure of the old dungeons had already been altered. He admitted that this was true, rendering decades of accumulated information useless. Lauren was quite confident, but among the 5 suspicious locations, this was the last remaining one. Barring any unexpected changes, we can seal the passage and return to our base within 3 days. The knights present murmured in relief, finally able to return after enduring so much hardship over the past half-month. Lauren watched the celebrating crowd with a solemn expression. He quietly reminded himself that after this was over, he should write a letter home. He had been too busy to send even a single reply, and his brother and father must be worried sick by now. Suddenly, the knights halted in their tracks as countless pairs of blood-red eyes glowed in the darkness ahead. A swarm of crows burst from their nests, diving straight at them. Caught off guard, the knights could only shield themselves with their arms. The ground began to shake violently. Lauren rushed forward to assess the situation. He stared in disbelief. This couldn't be happening. Ahead, 3 massive gates had appeared, and monsters poured out from them. They formed a vast and diverse army. Lauren stared in shock. 3 gates? How was this possible? Inside, not only roared monsters, but also mummified corpses and killers were closing in. The knights panicked, whispering, "We're doomed." Lauren forced himself to stay calm and urged, "Snap out of it. Now isn't the time to stand still. Flee and report this to the other side of the wall." A man stepped forward with a cold laugh. "Oh, impressive. Keeping your composure in this situation is rare," he declared. "Good. I'll add you to my collection. I'll grant you the honor of serving His Majesty as a corpse. Are you pleased?" Lauren realized the danger and shouted, "Run!" The knights scrambled backward in panic. The man raised his staff and announced, "Without my permission, no one leaves here." The ground split open, and a skeletal hand clawed its way out. Lauren raised his sword, taking aim at the spot. He swung his blade at the emerging creature, shouting in excitement, "Ha! This sword technique is?" Judging by the form, he recognized it at a glance. "You're from the Aston family."